And to be able to come up with so many turnovers like that, especially in the second half, it's a big-time job by everybody on the defense. And obviously, I'm not sure how many sacks we have, but, they're getting after them. Just a great job by them.
The Packers play the Lions on Thursday. College football, the Badgers with the win over Illinois, 27-10 in their final home game of the year. Head coach Luke Fickell.
That's what complimentary football looks like, to be honest with you. That's what I'm most proud of right now. I mean, there's nothing better than sending these seniors out of here the right way.
Women's college basketball, Wisconsin defeated Detroit 81-63. Lily Cron, 18 points, 6 3-pointers. And the Badgers volleyball team swept Iowa. Wisconsin now 22-4 for the season. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
From the Capitol to your kitchen table, Madison's biggest stories live right here on 92.7 WMDX.
I'm meteorologist Rodney Price. Clouds developing this afternoon and some rain moving in as well. Highs in the upper 40s, south winds of 5 to 10. Rain chances tonight, clouds and patchy fog with lows in the lower 40s. Rain chances continue on into Tuesday, highs in the lower 50s. Currently 46 degrees.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community, because change starts with you. Get involved and tune in to the Tom Hartman program Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on your local Civic Media radio station.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
From Milwaukee traffic to Northwoods gossip, they've got some thoughts. John and Gordy in the afternoon.
And a great good afternoon. It's John and Gordy. In for Gordy today because he's seeing Paul McCartney tonight. Why? I don't know why we let him off. Matt Rothschild, welcome to the program.
Pleasure to be with you, John.
Yeah, this is great.
I've never seen Paul McCartney live. I'd love to see him live. It costs a pretty penny, though, I imagine.
Well, yeah, this one is the big show. I mean, I don't think it cost quite. I think it cost a lot more than Ringo that I went to see in Milwaukee.
How was Ringo?
About a month ago. Oh, it's great. It was really, really good stuff. They had he had like 4 other band members. He puts different bands together every time he does a tour, and they're from different bands like Toto and Average White Band and stuff like that. And it's interesting to hear them do their versions of the song with Ringo there. But hearing Ringo do his songs, all of the songs that he did with the Beatles, was just I just love it. And solo work as well.
I'm an old Beatles fan. So.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney is in Milwaukee. Where is he?
He's in Chicago. Yeah. So he'll be performing probably in a venue that has what are they? The restrooms where they're generic restrooms.
Unisex.
There you go. Unisex. Yeah. Down in Chicago, they have those. We went to see a couple of concerts down there with the guys, and we were just shocked. Huge places, McCormick Center or whatever the hell they call it down there. We went downstairs, and they have restrooms on each side of the building, and they were all just
and people survive.
General admissions, and it was no, but it was so strange because there was a line of children with their moms and dads, and then there were guys at the urinals, visible to every one of them, and I thought, well, this is totally different. Of course, I froze up, but then I was able to relax. But it was a whole new thing. And by the time we left, and having gone down there maybe twice or three times after that, I got used to it. And I think everybody in the country could get used to general restrooms. Anyone can use them. Doesn't matter how many people.
A lot of bathrooms in restaurants in Madison that are unisex too.
Yes.
I gotta say, in general though, Chicago has really great venues. Great venues. I know one of them is House of Blues, and I went there a couple years back for a concert, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think Gordy's gonna really like tonight.
John, have you ever seen Paul McCartney in concert?
I have not. No.
All right.
Oh, Ringo was
I'd
the
love to.
first Beatle I've seen.
I'd love to, because I'm a Paul McCartney and John Lennon fan, and George Harrison.
Yeah.
And Ringo Starr.
Oh, I know. Well, you won't find a bigger fan than Gordy.
The entire show in the morning, that's all he talked about.
That I know. I could just just get him started on it. We could go for hours. But he always regrets the time that he didn't get the tickets from his dad, and his sister got the tickets, and his sister took her girlfriend, and they were appalled at the concert. They could not stand the loud screaming of all the other girls there, and it turned them off to concerts. That's what he said. Now, of course, having experienced all of that, having seen the girls shouting and screaming at the Beatles, I couldn't understand it either. But it was okay. It's just that I wanted to hear the music.
It is great music.
It was just fantastic, experiencing, and we were able to do that. We experienced the Beatles for the very first time. That's a memory you just, you treasure forever, the feeling you got hearing their songs for the very first time. So let's go to the phones right away. We've got Troy from Mount Horrible. What do you got, Troy?
Hey, how's it going, John? He's at the United Center where the Bulls play.
The Bulls. The Bulls.
Still in that part. Yep. I saw him at Miller Park. I forget when.
Oh, you did? Wow.
But yeah, and it was a fantastic concert.
Yeah.
I think it was the first big concert I ever went to was Ringo Starr and his all-star band, his first one. With Clarence Clemens and Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
And Rick Danko and Dr. John.
Oh, you gotta like that. Oh my God. That would be incredible, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the best part of it was they went on break. And then they comes back, there's just a piano on the stage. Joe Walsh comes in a lime green suit. Yeah. They put a purple light on him, and he does Desperado all by himself.
Really? Did he? He sang the song. Wow.
Yes, he sang all by himself.
Joe Walsh, you in Desperado. Whew.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, that would take my breath away. Really? Yeah.
But the whole concert, all the guys, like you said, all the guys were doing their own stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So
well, that's cool, man. It just it's great seeing these artists, and they're still around. I mean, that's the fantastic part of it. Like the Stones, geez, they're still going at it.
My wife saw the Stones here in Madison at the stadium.
Oh yeah, yeah. When was that?
That must have been 20 years ago, wasn't it? Something like that.
I saw the Stones, and I saw them at a county stadium way back when it was County Stadium in Milwaukee. Yeah. So, all right, Troy, thank you. Boy, Joe Walsh is just one heck of a personality, one great musician. I love his old albums, even before the James Gang or after the James Gang. But I have to say that, he's one of the best, and he had one of the best drummers. Can't remember the guy's name, but Yeah, it was great stuff. Okay, well, let's go to the phones again. We have Mark from the SAC. He's out hunting. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm in my tree right now with the birds coming in. I texted you guys a picture of a red-breasted nuthatch that came in earlier today.
And that's a cool bird there. This is a nuthatch that's usually up in Canada, but comes down every second or third winter all the way to Dane County. And you can see it. It's a little smaller than the usual white-breasted nuthatch, and it's got more stripes on its head, but it's a really cute little bird.
Yeah, I noticed he was stashing seeds in one of the trees in front of me that's got some kind of cracks in the bark, and then a white-breasted nuthatch was stealing the seeds.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, and the white-breasted nuthatches aren't coming in today. Neither are the. I've seen a downy woodpecker out in front of me that they haven't come in this year. Last year, all of them were coming. I had white-breasted, red-breasted nuthatches coming in, as well as the chickadees. And then downy and hairy woodpeckers are also coming into a little feeder I've got hanging next to my head.
So, did you go up into the tree just to have birds harass you, or are you hunting?
Well,
what are you doing?
I'm hunting. It kind of entertains me a little bit while it's kind of the deer moving around because it's so warm up here.
Sounds like Bambi, sounds like the some of the scenes in Bambi. But are you now? You're going to shoot a deer? Is that correct?
If I see a buck, I'm going to take a buck.
Okay.
But it's just really nice, and it's entertaining to have the birds come in and makes the day go a little nicer. But right now it's 52 degrees, so the deer aren't moving very much. So.
No, that's true. You have an AR-15, right? Is that?
No, I have a 270 bolt action rifle.
Okay.
I wouldn't touch an AR-15 for hunting. Idiotic.
I know it is. All right, Mark. Well, good luck. Okay.
Yeah, let us know if you get your deer.
Yeah, and check out the deer hunting channel. I can't remember what the hell it's called at the other station in Civic Media, but it's entertaining as hell at night. You might want to check that out.
Deer Hunters Roundup.
Yeah, the Deer Hunters Roundup. Check it out at night. It is just fantastic listening. You could sit there for hours on end in front of the fireplace, playing with the kids and listening to that. All right. The number here, and I don't have the number here actually.
Where do you go?
We're just floating around.
It's 855-752-4842. That's 855-752-4842.
There it is. Got crumpled up in my folder. All right. Give us a call and tell us what you think. If we happen to talk about something that interests you, that would be fantastic. I want to get into a little bit of what ICE is up to here. Paul at Skyline Report put this out. Now he posts a lot of good stuff and attributes everything he posts. I mean, he gives you a list at the bottom. I don't know how he gets so much space on X, but that's fine. All right. He posted this. ICE's public statements, arrest reports, and criminal alien statistics are no longer just spin. They're industrial scale disinformation. This isn't immigration enforcement. It's psychological warfare on the American people. I love the way he frames this, actually. According to ICE's own data from 2025, 71.5% of those held in detention have no criminal conviction whatsoever. Let's unpack that fraud. Pending charges are not convictions. They mean nothing legally. They reclassified pending charges and minor infractions as criminal activity. That's how they get away with that. Criminal includes traffic tickets, expired licenses, or missed hearings. And crossing the border illegally, it's a civil violation, not a crime. In reality, the victims are families, workers, and refugees whose only crime is existing in a broken system. Fixing the broken system was never the plan. And I think you can agree with that, right, Matt?
Yeah. The thing is, this assault on immigrants, on undocumented workers, is just disgraceful. And they're just grabbing anybody off the street who looks like a person of color, a Latino.
Racial profiling
Yeah.
though, is just outrageous,
Yeah.
and the Supreme Court allowed that.
Yeah, that is a Supreme Court decision that's going to be infamous. And yet what Trump is doing is what he was clamoring to do at the Republican convention, where we're saying mass deportations now.
Yep.
So I don't know what the people who voted for Donald Trump expected, or those of us who didn't vote for him expected, when everyone was chanting and holding signs that said mass deportation now. It was a fascist slogan there. It's a fascist implementation now.
It still is, yeah. And the thing is, the Senate came up with their own law,
The Trump deep six.
And he called and said, we're using it in our campaign. We don't want this passed. They came right out and said it. And then it just disappeared into the ether. And everybody acted like he never said it. It wasn't the plan in the first place, but it was the plan. And
Could have solved the
reminded.
problem, or a big part of the problem.
We could have solved it.
Wanted to run like a demagogue, and that's what he did.
All right, we're going to be back with more here in Civic Media in just a few moments. It's John and Gordy with Matt Rothschild as our guest.
WMDX, the talk of the Isthmus.
A stiff chair makes you sit. An X chair lets you float. Upgrade to an X chair, engineered for better posture and focus. The secret? Patented lumbar support that adjusts instantly. SiFloat Infinite Recline that moves effortlessly with you. X chair is next level ergonomic seating that truly floats. Right now, you can save up to 50% with the X Chair holiday sale. Supplies are limited, so visit xchair.com today for up to 50% off. That's xchair.com.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Hey, Isabella.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, just let you know, you'll be on in 10 minutes. All right, at 2:35, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. All right.
These and other trades are the backbone of every community. They're also a huge part in making sure the Army National Guard is always fulfilling its mission of service to our country and communities. Soldiers train to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. The skilled trades these soldiers perform are the same ones needed in today's civilian workforce. Army National Guard soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. With options from plumber to helicopter mechanic and everything in between, soldiers are able to select the trades that best fit their lives. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession and serve your community and country by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
The Wisconsin landscape is lit up by a million shining stars. I am traveling up the Edens to the land of the under 21 bars. I'm going to Cheeseland, the Dells in Door County. I'm going to Cheeseland. Rednecks in trailers with families, and we are going to Cheeseland.
We just love Cheeseland, don't we? Just being north of the Cheddar Curtain of the state line of Illinois. Oh, boy, I do like it. I always resented the Illinois people coming up here and using our Great Lakes and inhabiting the forests and leaving a big mess behind, and I hated going down to the tollways and being charged to use their roads, but they can use ours for free. I had a big chip on my shoulder at one time, and I got to say that I love Chicago. I love Illinois, and
wow.
And it all wore away. In the old days, the radio announcers, the music radio announcers all had wars against each other. With Chicago announcers against the Milwaukee announcers, and even in Madison. So it was, there was a great rivalry. Some really great songs came out of it. I think, did you ever play any one of those songs at all?
I think so.
I'm a Milwaukeean. I think you played. No, I don't know if you played that one. Anyway.
So I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and
do you remember the wars?
Vaguely, I remember a lot of those Chicago stations and the music that they were playing. And then I came here 45 years ago, and the first thing my brother said, "You're not going to be a Packer fan, are you?"
See? Yeah, I know. I just heard from an old friend of mine from the older radio days when I was on the air, and he was the Bear fan from hell, is what I nicknamed him. And and he sounds great as ever, and a very good friend.
I did become a Packer fan. See? And I raised Packer fans.
Yeah. I didn't want to ask. I thought maybe that's a sensitive subject for you.
I switched.
All right. Hey, you know everything about birds, and Mark is certainly giving us an update on all the blue jays that are flitting around him. But here's the thing. I've got this bird bath out there, and it drives me crazy. I feel pain when I feel like the birds don't have water. I got a warmer, a heater that
you got the heater in the bird bath.
I did have that, but it just raised my electric bills right through the ceiling. And even though it said it stops at a certain temperature, it doesn't. And the thing is, what do they do? When is the time that they need water? I know snow, they can get water from snow, right?
Some birds can. Robins can't, and bluebirds can't. So it's good.
From snow. They can't get it from
chickadees
snow.
Can, nuthatches can, cardinals can.
Yeah.
But robins and bluebirds, they need water. So what I do, and I don't have a heater anymore in my bird bath, so I'll bring hot water out there though, every hour or so, just so there's some water there before it refreezes.
Okay. Best time of the day to do that?
First thing in the morning.
Okay. They always make me feel real bad. They're standing on the edge of this bird bath, waiting for something to happen. And I'm like, oh, I have to take the dog out first and then I'll deal with you, but
no, they'll appreciate it if you get them some water.
I do.
I live in a place where there's a stream behind us that never freezes because
it's fresh water. Right?
Fresh water.
Yeah.
Even when it's 20 below. So I've seen some crazy birds there in the middle of winter, including you better get ready for your bird book here, Mark. A Wilson's snipe, which is like a big sandpaper with sandpiper with a huge bill. It was like New Year's Eve, and it was 15 below, and sitting in the middle of this little creek. So
wow, well, that's pretty cool. All right, well, let's go to Dick. We have Dick on the line right now. Welcome to the program, Dick.
God, I'd rather talk about great concerts I've been to, or birds. But did you hear the great news?
What's that?
The president took another beat down today. Two of them, the Comey and Trish James cases, both thrown out.
Yes. A judge, Judge Cameron Curry, said that Lindsay Halligan, the appointed district attorney there, U.S. attorney there, was unlawfully appointed, and they had to throw the cases out. So, Comey was, I think both of them were going to get thrown out at some point, sooner or later, but it happened today.
I thought they could do anything. Matt,
wow.
They think they can do anything, as they've showed us. But finally, we have some judges, not the U.S. Supremes, but some judges standing up to them, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Matt, did you ever see the band Chicago in their prime?
Did not. You may have seen them.
Oh,
I have not seen them. No.
I've seen them. I guess I'm a groupie. I guess 8 or 10 times.
Wow.
But the first time in 1972. And I was about 10 feet from the stage in the Coliseum. And when you see Terry Kath that close.
I was going to say, did you see Terry? So, yeah.
No, my claim to fame is I saw Bob Marley in concert, but that was.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. Who was the one that just
Jimmy Cliff just died
Cliff
today,
just passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big news.
Yeah, that was huge news.
Yeah.
I heard it from my son, posted it on Facebook. That's how I found out about it.
Okay. All right. Well, we hardly have any time to get to this one story I wanted to get to. It's called confirmation bias. And I kind of noticed this about what the Trump administration is attempting to do here. You're familiar with confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is when you see something and it confirms your beliefs, and you think it happens all the time.
It
just happens,
yes.
Part of the time. I see it all the time at poker. People think I have the worst luck of anyone in America.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to it maybe in an hour or so. But I think I'm fascinated by it. And one of the things we always look at is kind of the big picture. Gordy and I always look at the bigger picture of things, forest for the trees, because that's where we're going. That's kind of looking ahead. And I'm always trying to look ahead, at least making sure that we're on the right path. And I think we might be with healthcare. The Republicans are starting to rethink those tax credits after all.
Because they're going to freak out when everybody's health insurance goes through the roof.
They're going to lose big. All right, we've got more of the program. John Peterson along with Matt Rothschild filling in for Gordy today.
And conversations that count. That's Madison. And that's 92.7 WMDX.
When something unexpected happens on the farm, whether it be an illness, injury, or disaster, it may be hard to know what your options are. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and here to speak about one of the options that involves community is Wade Peterson. He is going to give us a look into what farm rescue is. We'll have that right after this.
As the weather changes, it can start to impact feed quality. Don't let your cows become the victims of the ration roller coaster. Adding Generator Elite to your herd's ration can introduce beneficial microbials that support gut health and help the herd navigate the highs and lows of feed quality, all while using less than an ounce per day per cow. Learn more about Generator Elite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
Now here's Wade Peterson giving a look into what farm rescue is.
It could be a natural disaster. It could be a health issue. It could be a family health issue. We've done, it could be a fire, if they've lost their equipment. So it's a wide range. Besides planting and harvesting, we do hay baling. We do some cattle feeding. We do a little bit of everything. You can see it in pretty much every case that we go to, how helpful it is, how some of them have never asked for help in their entire life. So they struggle watching us do the work for them. But in the end, every case has been a really good case. We've worked well with them. The communities help support us.
Wade Peterson from Farm First out of Baraboo. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at some agriculture news right after this.
Hey, Jim. Bob. Quite a season, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot stacked against us, but that's where having a solid plan and, data-driven insights instead of just guessing really made the difference. Yeah. We looked at soil types and other research to make sure every acre had the right seed to maximize ROI potential.
That's great. I was referring to the Greyhounds being undefeated.
Oh.
Cropland Seed, anything but typical.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's take a look at some agriculture news. Recently, the U.S. Senate has unanimously passed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. This bill aims to expand the milk and beverage.
Isabella. Can you hear us?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Hey, Isabella, when did you start at Civic Media?
I started in September, early September, so I've been here a few months.
Cool.
All right.
Well, I won't ask you any more questions because we might ask them to you, and I want it to be fresh.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Where in Chicago are you from, though, or Illinois are you from?
I'm from about an hour north of Chicago. I'm actually closer to the Kenosha area. I'm from Zion, Illinois.
Zion,
Ah, okay.
which is near Waukegan, right?
Yeah.
Gee, to think we could have been this big belt of technology, tying Chicago in with Milwaukee and then Madison, then eventually Minneapolis.
We got 3 Illinoisans on besides you, John, because I'm from Illinois as well. So all 3 of us are from Illinois.
You're from Illinois?
No.
No.
Oh, we're outnumbering John.
We're outnumbering.
Yeah.
3-1.
Well, I'm from Milwaukee. Beat up on me. Go ahead. I'm used to it.
All right, 40 seconds, guys.
Okay, we're going to talk about Tammy's event. Okay.
And are you comfortable talking about Marathon County and ICE also, Isabella, or is that not something you want to talk about?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that as well.
Excellent.
Awesome. All right, 20 seconds.
One step beyond.
Good afternoon. It's John and Gordy in the afternoon, and Matt Rothschild is with me today, and this is great. Just having a conversation with you. We don't get to work together very often.
No, I usually wave at you right after your show when
Yeah.
I'm doing my podcast, Wisconsin Forward, and it's nice to be able to sit here and have some conversation.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Just to let you know that the 25-foot Christmas tree has arrived at the White House. We just saw it.
Melania Trump was out front again.
I thought they were bigger than that.
I don't know. It's quite a
and they got the tree from Michigan and not Wisconsin. I feel slighted. I don't know what the deal is on that, but all right.
We have nice Christmas tree farms here. They could have come here.
We've got good ones here, really good ones here. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Why don't we get to our first guest today, and that is Isabella Nieto. Did I get the name properly pronounced there? All right. And Isabella is a Wausau reporter that we have, right?
Civic Media reporter, correct,
All right.
Isabella?
Yep.
And you attended Senator Baldwin's event today in Wausau. Why don't you fill us in on what she was talking about this time around?
Sure. The event was actually last Friday.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, she came in to discuss kind of her kind of sounding the alarm on healthcare premium tax credits expiring at the end of this year. She visited a local health clinic.
Tammy is usually really good in small groups. How was she on Friday?
She was great. It was a relatively small group, so there was a good little group of reporters. I was alongside some of the cameras. And she had only a couple constituents with her. So she had 2. She had come to the area previously to discuss the same issue in September, and she had more of a roundtable situation.
Mm-hmm. She has been on top of this for ages. She has been here in the state working for us here in Wisconsin endlessly, tirelessly. She is just unbelievable. She's a dynamo. And when she, ran for re-election, it was a close race, and it was just shocking that, a person that she ran against could even come close. It was just, it was a tragedy. But she's in this state all the time. She's making personal appearances all the time. She's talking to the constituents that she is relating to She's on topic every time. She is out there helping the farmers. She's helping us try to keep healthcare and reform healthcare on top of it. She is just incredible at all of this. And I'm so glad she's still on this. Now, there is a movement in the House to create a bill to extend the tax credits for another couple of years. Now, she's in the Senate. I wonder if we're going to ever talk to her about whether the Senate is starting to pick up on this or not, because I hear they are. Some are, and I'm sure Tammy would probably be involved in that.
Yeah, Isabella, did she give any hope on that front?
Yeah.
She had mentioned that she did introduce an amendment that would extend the program to 2027. And she mentioned that all of the Senate Republicans ended up voting against it. So it ended up not passing. But she said that they are going to be taking another look at the issue in mid-December. So she's going to be working with, she mentioned a lot about discussing with across the aisle. She mentioned that there were a few some of her Republican colleagues that had mentioned to her in passing that they were interested in taking action on this issue. And that they were hoping to make some progress in mid-December.
Well, that sounds almost like the House bill, it's extending it 2 years and seeing what happens, and then coming up with some different ideas in order to tamp down the cost of healthcare, which is not ever going to happen. But we have to come up with a completely different system.
And Republicans are going to pay a huge price as
I think they're
people
getting
are
cold feet here.
Yeah, signing up and seeing their premiums going up 50 to 100% here. And they know that the Democrats tried to go to bat for them during the shutdown. This was the one issue that the Democrats were raising hell about, and Trump wouldn't give. Speaker Johnson wanted to give an inch, and as a result, people's premiums are going through, and they know who to blame.
That's right. It's going to be a shocker, and plus, the economy is just going to crash. The people that do get the health insurance won't have any discretionary money anymore. So they won't be able to go out and buy things, and the economy will feel that in the worst possible way.
That's a cheery prospect.
Yeah. I always have good news on the program, and that's why they like me.
Isabella, what were the constituents who were there at Tammy Baldwin's event? Were they asking her questions? What was the interaction there?
Sure. So she had brought them in because they had contacted her directly about the premium tax credit extension. And they came in to discuss kind of the effect of losing these tax credits would have on them. One told a particularly moving story about how she recently tragically became a widow. And so she relies on these tax credits to provide for healthcare, mental health care in particular, for herself and for her daughter to take care of herself. And they mentioned that both constituents actually mentioned that they didn't know what they were going to do without the tax credits if they were to expire.
Yeah, boy, that's a tough story right there. And the thing is, there, if they manage to at least extend them, at least they won't have these kinds of problems to worry about. And the pain, the stress that people are going through right now as they sign up for healthcare on the ACA. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like, because I'm going through it too, and we haven't gotten on the marketplace yet to shop, but we'll take a look.
And it's ridiculously complicated. I mean, we should have a Medicare for all system where you don't have to jump through hoops every November through December to December 15th to figure out what policy you want, which is better for you. What risk you're going to take on the deductibles. It's just a crazy system. And Tammy's been on that. She's been for universal health care and Medicare for all for a while. Did she talk about Medicare for all at that event?
She mentioned that it is something that she is in support of, but she didn't mention any legislative action that she was taking to move towards that.
Well, if I could just talk to any one of the legislators that are elected here from Wisconsin, I would suggest that the Democrats get on board with universal health care or universal health insurance, if that's how they want to frame it. I mean, it's the one thing I think everybody in this country can identify with and think, boy, if I didn't have to worry about this anymore, I could do a lot of things, including small businesses.
Yeah, I mean, small businesses, if they have to insure their employees or offer insurance to their employees, it's a huge item. I've run nonprofits for many years, and it was a big ticket item always. So it's bad for the consumer. It's bad for the small business owner.
Then big businesses have an advantage. They can offer that, and small businesses can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember Lee Iacocca back in the day had a Chrysler when it was Chrysler, was a proponent of universal healthcare because the cost of paying the healthcare coverage for his employees was hurting their competitive advantage against German and Japanese auto companies.
Exactly. Well, let's hope that Tammy can at least get something going in the Senate again. Once the House reacts, the Senate may then react as well, knowing that there is some kind of difficult problem here for the Republicans to get elected.
Yeah, people need relief.
Yeah.
Isabella, how are you enjoying Wausau?
Yeah.
I like it. It's so beautiful here, especially when the fall colors were out. It was, it was nothing like I've ever seen before. I was living in central Illinois for a really long time, and there were definitely not as vibrant of colors as there are up here. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's the flatland. We expect that in Illinois. It's not as colorful. Well, one day you'll earn your snowshoes up there in Wausau, and you'll be able to get around a little easier.
Isabella, can I ask, have you been to the Woodson Art Museum in Wausau yet?
I have not, but I would really love to get out there. I need to see the birds and art exhibit that they have up right now. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I've been there twice. They're celebrating their 50th year of doing birds and art at the Woodson Art Museum in Wausau. It's an incredible thing.
Now, what are those, like stuffed birds?
No, these are paintings, sculptures, drawings.
I was wondering. All right.
No, they're not live birds either.
Okay.
but it's really impressive. Some of the best bird artists in the world exhibit at the Woodson Art Museum. That's really made a name for itself up there. We have a caller.
Oh, we do. All right, let's take a caller. All right, Tom, what do you got for us?
Hey guys, I'm a fellow former fib myself, and
I hope. Well, nothing personal, Tom.
We can't spell that out on the air, by the way, Tom.
No. But I've been here 18 years full time, and when I moved from Illinois to Wisconsin, it was before the ACA, and I lost all my insurance. I had to go with a new company, and I had a pre-existing condition that forced me to take a separate policy for
a high-risk pool.
Yep, $200 a month. And if anything happened to my thyroid in the calendar year, I wouldn't be covered at all. So I didn't go to my doctor. I didn't go to my endocrinologist. I didn't get my ultrasound. And, if people were doing the same sort of thing who had cancer, who didn't know they had cancer, this is dangerous stuff. And the one statistic I saw, for every million people who lose their health insurance, 300 die. I would like to see Democrats push that kind of information.
Yeah.
Republicans do really well because they go hyperbolic on everything. But we're talking about hundreds of Americans dying because they won't give them subsidies, and we should hang that around their necks like a plaque of shame.
Well, we should.
And
thanks, Tom from Madison, for calling. Absolutely. I mean, before the Affordable Care Act, if you had a pre-existing condition, I have pre-existing conditions, you could not get healthcare coverage, or the healthcare coverage would be so exorbitant you couldn't possibly pay for it.
That's right. Those high-risk pools were very, very expensive, and they made the person who had the pre-existing condition pay a lot of it. The state taxpayers would pay a little part of it. And then, of course, the insurance companies threw a little bit in as well, but they made up for it by raising everybody else's health insurance. So it was no big bargain by any stretch of the imagination. The whole thing here is that a lot of people are going to have pre-existing conditions, and we have to find what those conditions are. And we get the free medical checkups in order to keep up to date on that and prevent these conditions from getting worse, and even get rid of those conditions. So what we need is we just need universal health care in this country. And I think if every Democrat beat this subject to death, I think they'd buy into it. I read an article where a lot of people, what is their apprehension about getting universal health care, and that is that they don't know what will happen if that took place. If we had a universal health care package in this country, what would it look like? Would they keep their doctors? Would they keep their whatever? But of course they would. I mean, every doctor is your doctor. Every hospital would be your hospital if we had universal health care.
And it's not like it's perfect now. You can wait forever and you can not get the doctor of choice as it is right now.
Exactly. It's not, you lose it even if you have it through your employer. They could change the insurance company and change doctors and groups that you're seeing. So it's never really that good. This is John and Gordy. Matt Rothschild is our guest today. We're talking healthcare. I want to get to what they're planning in the House in just a few moments right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
In Marathon County, okay? You can bring us up to speed on that?
Sorry, I missed the first part of that.
We're going to come back to you about ICE in Marathon County. You can bring us up to speed on that issue?
Sure, I can do that.
Cool.
Okay. I forgot what you were going to bring up. So
no, it's all right.
I would have brought it up otherwise, but all right. Let me see, Len. I think the tide will have turned when I started seeing bumper stickers on trucks. When asked what that means, the truck drivers will respond, "It's my truck thump."
I don't know if you want to.
Tacos I've ever had in my life. Elsa's own Jarocho. You won't leave hungry, just happy.
Looking to strengthen the bond with your pup? Dane County Humane Society offers a variety of dog training classes led by certified trainers. Classes are designed to help you and your furry friend learn new skills, improve behavior, and deepen your connection. Whether your dog is a curious puppy, an independent teenager, or a lifelong learner, DCHS has the tools and expertise to help you set the stage for a successful year ahead. Visit giveshelter.org/dog training to register today.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns. It's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
Black Friday? Just one day? How about Black Friday all month long at Verlo? During the month of November, prices are falling so you can save hundreds on mattresses and adjustable bases. Plus, save big on all the other stuff. The Black Friday event, only at Verlo.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Where working people come to talk. It's the Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy, fairness, grit, and no apologies. It's current affairs from a working class labor perspective. Facts are center, science is real, and everyone gets a seat at the table. The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Farm news that impacts you and your community from the Midwest Farm Report.
Where the action is. Where the action is. All right, all right, all right.
This is Where the Action Is. It's John and Gordy with Matt Rothschild. Our special guest and our other special guest is Isabella Nieto, right? Okay. And she's up in Wausau. She works in the news department there. And we have a question about ICE.
Yes, Isabella, you're with Civic Media up there doing reporting for us in Wausau, and I understand there's a controversy between the Marathon County Sheriff's Department and the ACLU of Wisconsin about what the Sheriff's Department's doing collaborating with ICE. Can you clarify that for us?
Sure. It's on kind of a few different levels. The first thing I kind of want to touch on is the lawsuit. So the ACLU of Wisconsin is suing several Wisconsin county sheriff's departments over their cooperation with ICE detainers, which are basically requests from ICE to hold individuals for 48 hours past they are supposed to be released in order for them to come and deport them. And Marathon County is included in the lawsuit for complying with those detainers. And this is mentioned in the lawsuit, but Marathon County Sheriff's Department also has a policy of reporting any foreign-born person, regardless of their citizenship status, to ICE if they are booked into the jail. So they do notify ICE of any foreign-born individual, regardless of their citizenship status, to ICE. That is included in the lawsuit.
Regardless of citizenship, that is crazy.
They would know that the person is a citizen, and they'd still go to ICE and report it. Wow.
Yes, and that is part of their lawsuit as well. And there is also a potential partnership. They haven't officially announced whether they are going to pursue the partnership, but it would be a 287G jail enforcement model partnership with ICE, which would essentially allow Marathon County to function as, or their jails to function as a sort of ICE detention center. So ICE could hold individuals there as well, and the ACLU is monitoring that as well. And that is another part that they're concerned about.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What about other folks in Marathon County who are immigrant rights activists or religious leaders? Are they opposed to what the Marathon County Sheriff's Department's doing here?
You know, I haven't spoken specifically to them. I'm sort of monitoring the situation. It's kind of an ongoing story. We're waiting to see what the Marathon County Sheriff's Department is going to say. I tried to reach out to them for comment on the lawsuit, and they declined to comment. But we do have many immigrants' rights groups up here that I'm hoping to flesh out a little bit of a bigger story on that as well.
And basically, ICE is trying to conscript sheriff's departments around the state and around the country to be their right arm and to hold people whose only offense is a civil offense and hold them more than anyone should be held in America without being able to see a judge. It's really outrageous. And then you added this thing that I didn't even know, that Marathon County sheriffs are reporting anyone who was foreign born, even if they are a U.S. citizen. And I don't know where they get off doing that.
Yeah, that seems really weird.
Do you know why they're doing that? And are other sheriff's departments in Wisconsin doing that? Do you have any idea, Isabella? That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are any other departments in the state that are doing that sort of thing. And there was a report that came out of the Wausau Pilot and Review about it, but that was reporting specifically from them. So I'm not sure exactly, what their policy on that is. But they did mention it in the lawsuit that they are reporting people regardless of citizenship status to ICE if they are booked into jails.
Oh, well, it's breathless. I just, we're living in a country that is just promoting fear, stochastic terrorism, whatever they're spreading at this point. We all live under this heavy weight of being arrested sometime, or accosted sometime, or delayed, or taken into custody sometime. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're a Latino or a brown-skinned individual in Marathon County or anywhere in Wisconsin, really, you can be pulled over by ICE and thrown into by people in masks. They may not even be ICE. They may be impersonating ICE, thrown into a van and taken away and just kidnapped. And it's just outrageous that this is the country we're living in right now.
Yeah. In fact, there are already groups that are impersonating ICE with the mask, taking people away and raping them. So this is already taking place. And we warned them way back when. We said, get rid of the masks. This is just going to make it worse other people are going to start impersonating ICE agents, and then we're off. We're off to the races. Anything can happen at that point.
There are legislators, Democratic legislators in the Capitol, and folks who are running for governor on the Democratic side who are insisting, if they get power, that they're going to pass a law that says you got to not wear a mask if you're doing law enforcement. Isabella Nieto is a reporter for Civic Media up in Wausau. Thanks for being our guest, Isabella. And we look forward to reading more of your reporting up there.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Oh, boy. Man, I tell you.
Yeah, learn something new.
Yeah, I know. And
regardless of citizenship, maybe it's because, the Trump administration wants to go after the folks who've become naturalized citizens, because they talked about that.
That's right. Yes.
Maybe that's their next step.
Well, hanging around the courts and taking away people who are, turning up for their court dates for citizenship. And
what are they supposed to do? They're trying to do things the right way, and they're getting nabbed for doing it.
Yeah. That's just ridiculous. I don't know. And then, of course, the Supreme Court is saying that it's okay to racially profile people, which I still can't get over. How is that even possible? I hope there's a lawsuit somewhere challenging that particular decision.
Yeah, it was one of the more outrageous ones.
Can they challenge it? I mean, after the Supreme Court makes a decision like that, can we challenge them? Is there anybody else?
I think it was a provisional decision. And so
a docket thing?
Yeah, one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. Skip steps and go straight to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes.
So maybe Jim Santel can help us on that down the road. But
Ask tomorrow morning. All right. We'll be back with more here on John and Gordy in the afternoon. Matt Rothschild, our guest. And jot down this number, 855-752-CIVIC. 752-CIVIC.
Thank you, Isabella. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, okay?
You too.
Based in South Carolina, who was asked by two Virginia-based colleagues to weigh whether acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan was lawfully appointed. Judge Cameron Curry finds Halligan was not. The judge points to the law's requirement that when a top federal prosecutor's post remains vacant for 120 days, the district court appoints the replacement. And since Halligan indicted both James Comey and Letitia James, Judge Curry has ordered both cases dismissed.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. An Israeli prosecutor announced charges against an extremist settler accused of beating an elderly Palestinian woman in the West Bank. That attack caught on video earlier this month. A federal appeals court has paused the Trump administration's push for rapid deportations, affirming a lower court's ruling that rapid deportations would likely violate the due process rights of migrants. The appeal hearing set for December. This is ABC News.
Our lakes are gorgeous. Just don't swim in them. 92.7 WMDX, keeping Madison honest, one broadcast at a time.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. One of the women responsible for the Slender Man attack ran off from her Madison group home over the weekend. She's now back in custody after being apprehended in Illinois. In 2014, in Waukesha, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier stabbed a classmate in order to please the fictional horror character Slender Man. Weier was released a few years ago to live with her father, but prosecutors say Geyser was the one holding the knife. She pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide and was sentenced to time in the Winnebago Mental Health Institute. She was released into a Madison group home earlier this year. At the time, prosecutors asked the judge not to approve her release. On Saturday, Madison police say Geyser left her group home and cut off her monitoring device. At the time, police urged anybody who saw her to call 911. Her own lawyer even went on social media encouraging Geyser to turn herself in. According to reporting from the AP, she was arrested at a truck stop south of Chicago yesterday. Their story says she was with a 42-year-old man who was also arrested for criminal trespassing and obstructing identification. WKOW talked to some residents in the area of Cronky Drive in the Meadowood neighborhood where that group home is. They say they had no idea Geyser had been living on their street. Meanwhile, a Wisconsin hunter died on the first day of the gun deer hunt due to what authorities call accidental discharge of a firearm. It happened in Fond du Lac County Saturday. Someone called 911 in the town of Oakfield after finding a man dead in a tree stand. That hunter was from Lomira and was 24 years old. The sheriff's office and the Department of Natural Resources are now investigating. The last deer hunting death in Wisconsin was in 2022 when an 11-year-old boy was killed in an accidental shooting. Last year, during the gun deer hunt, one person was accidentally shot, but they recovered. That made it the safest gun deer hunt in Wisconsin history. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Bucks basketball tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. It's the Bucks and the Portland Trail Blazers tonight at Fiserv Forum. Milwaukee coming off that 129-116 loss to the Pistons. Saturday night, the hottest team in the NBA. Doc Rivers on how they shut down guard Ryan Rollins.
Yeah, I thought it was a good lesson, for not only just him. I was disappointed at halftime. We fixed it more in the second half, and he got the ball up the floor. But I thought the damage had been done. I thought their physicality completely took us out of our offense tonight.
The Bucks hoping to snap a 4-game losing streak. NFL, the Packers with a 23-6 win over the Vikings, thanks to a big day from running back Emmanuel Wilson, who rushed for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, filling in for Josh Jacobs, and was asked, why did he have a talk with head coach Matt LaFleur before the game?
Honestly, I was a little nervous, and I talked to Matt, and he just says, it's another game. It's just a bigger title with a name.
Up next, the Packers play the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Your neighbors are talking. Leaders are deciding. Madison's story unfolds daily on 92.7 WMDX.
I'm meteorologist Rodney Price. Clouds developing this afternoon and some rain moving in as well. Highs of the upper 40s, south winds of 5 to 10. Rain chances tonight, clouds and patchy fog with lows of the lower 40s. Rain chances continue on into Tuesday, highs of the lower 50s. Right now, it's 48.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community, because change starts with you. Get involved and tune in to the Tom Hartman program Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on your local Civic Media radio station.
He's a guy who won't let you down. He's the man about town.
Is this about some new spy thriller?
Wherever he goes,
We'll see.
Some secret agents?
Everyone knows. All around the state, they say that he's great. Wow. It's John Peterson.
Wait a minute.
He's John Peterson.
000000.
What an intro. Peterson.
Thank you, Gordy. Boy, you put that one together. That's amazing. Yes, Gordy is out and about. He's going to see Paul McCartney tonight, and it's Matt Rothschild sitting in for him.
It's a pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we like to look at the big picture here on the show, and I found this to be just fascinating. What's really going on in this country? We got an interesting text as well. It might even relate to this in some way, shape, or form. I want to read the text first. At some point, can we analyze and address the disease and not just the symptoms of what's going on in the U.S. right now? It's one thing that we are ignoring people's constitutional rights, but there's a reason why it's been accepted and cheered on. That's the root cause. That's what will continue to be the problem, cause the problem, until we identify it and fix it. And, Matt is supposing that might have something to do with race, right?
So the question that I was puzzling over here when this text came in, and thanks for the text, you too can text at 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC. So the puzzle was, what is the reason? And the texter says there's a reason why it's been accepted and cheered on. That's a root cause that we need to identify, but the texter doesn't identify what that root cause is. So I was scratching my head and saying, well, maybe the root cause is racism. Maybe that's what the person's talking about. Or maybe what the person's talking about is the economic instability that the vast majority of Americans are dealing with every day. And then they're susceptible to a demagogue and a scapegoater. Or maybe, and this is a more depressing view, that there's always or oftentimes 20%, 25%, even a 30% of the population that is kind of authoritarian. I mean, let's remember General Augusto Pinochet, the guy who did the coup in Chile in 1973. There was a plebiscite finally 16 years later after he had killed, thousands and thousands and tortured tens of thousands more. And he still got like 44% of the vote.
Yeah.
So you wonder what the constituency is for authoritarianism. So that's a possibility. If the texter wants to clarify what he or she meant by the root cause, we'd entertain that. What do you think the root cause was, John?
Well, I like the idea of authoritarianism only because it kind of encompasses all of that. People accept one thing and then they just go for the rest of it. And authoritarianism is one way of dealing with it, dealing with the other, which would be racism as well. So I think you got a really good group of points there, and we'd like to hear back whoever that is, whoever texted us. It's a thoughtful text. We get those all the time. But let's get to something that kind of relates to that, and that is confirmation bias. All right, I found this article to be really, really fascinating. Something called confirmation bias feeds audiences content that aligns with and reinforces their pre-existing convictions. Could be racism or convictions, your belief system, discrediting any contradictory evidence. I have a Fox News clip with all of that. We'll have that in just a moment. You feel comfortable around police and military occupation is another confirmation bias. Target and vilify the strongest political opponents like Jasmine Crockett and AOC. Detoxify the term racial profiling and slave patrol. Claim Democrats want anarchy. Who knows why they want that? I don't know why we want anarchy. Utilize stochastic terrorism by simply blowing one incident up into a national threat.
And that means just kind of like random terrorism. You never know where it's coming from.
That's right.
So it's more terrifying.
Yes. You get a climate of fear leading to ideologically motivated attacks by individuals labeled as lone wolves. But really, it's a long process to develop these individuals. So why don't we get to that? Now, let's listen to this.
This is policing at another level. I mean, they're going in to find dangerous people, as you heard Tom Homan repeatedly say, the worst of the worst. And I got to tell you something. Nothing made me feel better yesterday than coming in on the train and seeing the National Guard.
Here's the take of Jasmine Crockett.
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period. And now with the Supreme Court saying this, it's almost like you can just go grab them up.
Look, this is absurd. The police are trained. It's a specialized job, and also started really by, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez back in 2018 when this was really getting started. And it's really hurt our ability to keep our communities safe. Why are we tolerating this? This is the kind of rhetoric that is leading to, a lawless society and anarchy, which I think a lot of the Democrats have been clinging to.
She referred to the murdered young woman, Kayla Hamilton, just 20 years old, who was sexually assaulted and strangled to death by an illegal immigrant in MS-13, the violent gang.
You take a situation and then you exploit what has happened to not only that person, but you exploit those families and you make it a game. Stop just throwing a random dead person's name on something for your own political expediency.
Just so callous and insensitive to human life.
No, actually not. I think Jasmine Crockett made an excellent point. In fact, my MAGA friend in Milwaukee called me up before we did the show today and told me about the individual who was set on fire, I believe, in a subway, lit on fire. And I said, that's tragic. That's awful. And he said, well, that's what's going on in this country. See, this is how these things start.
Yeah, one anecdote fits in with the whole picture, and they
whole picture
go categorical from that. And also the idea, and who was that? Laura Ingraham sounded like her.
Yeah,
at Fox,
I think it was.
saying that what ICE is doing is just policing. They're not trained to do policing. They don't know how to do policing. And wearing a mask and grabbing people and throwing them into an unmarked car isn't policing. We've had former Madison Police Chief David Cooper on talking about this as the antithesis of community policing. We're going to talk to Dave Mahoney at 4:05 here, former Dane County Sheriff. We'll ask him about whether this is just policing or not. I'm sure he'll give us a different answer than they got on Fox.
But it's just amazing to think that this is the direction we have gone in. And this is the kind of encouragement on Fox News they're giving their viewers. And it's always, when you hear about the surveys out there about who agrees with the administration and who isn't, it's always, and you mentioned it, 25 to 30% of the people who are in this country. And that's sad. But it's always about 25 to 30%.
And it's something to remember. I mean, we got to keep defending our democracy. It's, the system of checks and balances turns out not to be so sturdy. We've got to be out there all the time, aware that there are those who don't like democracy.
Right. And there is another 25 to 30% that don't believe any of that stuff and would like to see everybody just kind of get along. Sadly, there's about 30 or 40% that don't vote at all.
But confirmation bias is all over the place. I have a friend who doesn't agree with me politically, and it was during the SNAP controversy where people were not getting their food stamps during the shutdown. And he said, I know 3 people who are on SNAP, and they're actually making a lot of money at their jobs and shouldn't be getting SNAP. So it's anecdotal, and then you exaggerate from the anecdotal stories that it's vast and widespread.
This anecdotal stuff is driving me crazy. They've been doing this for at least 10, 15 years.
No, Ronald Reagan did it too.
Oh, yeah. It's just what somebody said, and they take it for fact, and then they, just continually repeat it over and over and over again. We do have a call. Let's go to Dolores. Dolores, thank you for calling.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. First of all, congratulations on your new time. I kind of wake up listening to you guys, and now I can listen to you guys on my way back to work.
All right.
Anyway, so that's great. That's great. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents. I'm a Hispanic U.S. citizen, and I'm a mom of 2 teenagers boys and 2 grown adults daughters. They are like great professionals, but it's just very scary, watching all the videos, grabbing kids, teenagers. They don't care about if you are my kids are U.S. citizens. They're born here, and I'm a U.S. citizen. And just because you are the wrong color, the skin is the wrong color, it's just terrifying.
It is.
As a mom, I can tell you I'm terrified. I see what happened in Chicago. I was very scared that where they're coming next to Madison, they're coming next to Milwaukee and grab all these, people, the hard workers. And, I'm a medical interpreter. So I help a lot of our community, Hispanic community, to get great healthcare, and just to see all the people that work really hard to get a nice future for the family and kids. And then these people come and grab you and you don't even know where they're going to end up. It's just very scary. I don't want to sound bad or anything, but I feel like a white person doesn't know the fear that we're living as a Hispanic person. It's very tragic to live in this fear. And I think that's what they want. The government is what they want us to live in fear, and be scared. Yep. We're not gonna trust the police. We're not gonna trust anyone, any official they say comes to a door. I'm not opening my door. I'm not talking to anyone because I'm just afraid of they're gonna snatch me and take me to Africa or something. Deport me to Africa or something. So it's very terrifying, and I'm just scared for my kids.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think nobody understands what we're going through as a Hispanic community. Thank you. Thank you for
You are
listening.
making a very good point, Dolores. Thank you very much. It is fearful. And what they're doing, of course, and they're not just throwing fear into the Hispanic community, but into our communities with the occupation, with the soldiers, with the National Guard, hiring police officers to do their work as well. We're just all a little fearful now. When I walk out and I see, troops standing around, I don't feel safer. I feel like we've changed as a country in a way that I don't want to see it change.
Yeah. And I never thought we'd be here, but I want to thank Dolores from Madison for the call again.
Yeah, great call.
It is tragic what's going on. I also want to thank her for the work she does in healthcare, which is really important.
Yeah.
And she made a good point. If this is undermining trust of the regular police force that we have, and a lot of work has been done in Madison to have community policing, and this is just eroding that in a hurry.
I mean, if they had some kind of record of doing these things, so you could find people if they are taken away, if there was something we could do just to make it easier for people to rest their minds, to know what's happening, be updated on all of this stuff, but they're not doing anything at all. They're just keeping it a secret. They're not open government. This is all just going on behind their backs, and they're not going to tell us anything, and they're going to have masked people taking us away. It's really it's a frightening thought. We've got more coming up here. This is John and Gordy in the afternoon. Matt Rothschild, our guest. Feel free to give us a call at any time. I'm going to get this right now. 855-75-CIVIC. 855-75-CIVIC on the Civic Media Radio Network.
WMDX, keeping the capital caffeinated.
I'm hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
I could really go for some of that 12-hour smoked pulled pork.
Ooh, and some pasta. Okay, now I'm hungry. Sugar River, here we come.
And they have that great kids menu, too.
We don't have any kids.
Right. That's beside the point. The point is, I'm hungry. You're hungry.
Let's go.
Yes. And we should talk about having some kids.
Get in the car, Bob. Sugar River, Sun Prairie, Verona, New Glarus, and catering.
There was a time when barbecue was perfect. A strong, reliable flavor that could be counted on. But then big manufacturers decided that barbecue needed to be zesty or spicy or sweeter or whatever. If you miss the good old days of great tasting barbecue, we'd like to introduce you to Grandpa's Barbecue. Made in small batches from Grandpa's original recipe. Buy yours online today at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
It's the Eco Minute, powered by Clean Wisconsin, your environmental voice since 1970. I'm Amy Barrio. Clean Wisconsin is suing over new energy grid rules that allow power companies to fast-track gas-burning power plants. The group says the new process gives fossil fuels an unfair advantage over cheaper, cleaner wind and solar. Gas plants can now jump the line to be added to our energy grid ahead of other types of power generation. Wisconsin is already seeing a new 1.2 gigawatt gas plant in Kenosha County proposed under the new rules. The sun's going to be making a lot of ice in Milwaukee. Pettit Ice Arena is going solar with an enormous rooftop array that will offset 20% of the arena's energy use. With nearly 97,000 square feet of ice, Pettit Ice Arena is one of the largest indoor skating facilities in the country. Right now on the Defender podcast, new power plants are in the works to serve data centers in Wisconsin. Will you be paying part of the bill? Listen at cleanwisconsin.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Small businesses are the heart of America. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Civic Media Radio Network. John and Gordy. Matt Rothschild taking calls with you today, and we want to thank Dolores for a fantastic, articulate call. I mean, she spelled it out perfectly for us.
She did. She made incredible points, and you could hear the poignancy in her voice.
The urgency.
Too. Yeah.
And the fear. And we don't want to hear that in the American public.
No, we shouldn't be a fearful people.
Yeah. So we did get a clarification. We asked for a clarification on one of the texts we got in regards to whether we're talking about racism or authoritarianism. What was the point?
Yeah. So this texter initially texted about when you're talking about the violation of constitutional rights, which we're seeing all over the place, you got to get to the root causes. And John and I were puzzling over what the texter from WMDX thought the root causes were. So we asked the texter to text back. And so here she did. It's a scary mix of racism and classism and the looking for a way to control large groups of people, the texter said, by manipulating their loyalties. And you were talking about that, John.
Yes.
A texter goes on pointing out that it's the Christian thing to do. It's the patriot thing to do. It's the adult thing to do. And the texter concludes by writing, I think it feels as if we're being manipulated with psychological warfare to create a society that's beneficial to people with a lot of money in their pockets. And certainly Trump is running the government for the billionaire class, as Bernie would say. And Speaker Johnson is carrying water for the billionaire class. And it's long been a demagogue's tactic to scapegoat people, distract them from the real causes of their economic plight, blame other people for it, and all the while help those who already have a ton of money. And that's what's going on.
That's exactly what's going on. And, I just find it kind of interesting that, we're sitting here talking about it, but it doesn't seem to be changing the minds of the megas out there.
But it is changing the minds of the independents, which is
the independents. You're right.
I saw a statistic that Trump, this is from the Wisconsin pollster at Marquette, Charles Franklin. Trump is underwater 3-1 with independents. 75% don't approve.
That's
Only
right.
25% do approve.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a killer for Republicans here in Wisconsin.
It is. I was surprised, and this is kind of amazing, actually. The two gubernatorial candidates for the Republican Party, Showman and Tiffany, they are both running identical campaigns to what Trump ran on, and that is immigration. Here we are in Wisconsin, immigration. All right, okay. But they're building up the fear level.
And they're lashing themselves to Trump, too. They're begging for Trump's endorsement.
And the strange thing is, for Tiffany anyway, and I find this just unbelievable, but he's blaming the Democrat or the Republicans who run the legislature for all the problems in the state. He's saying, well, they have high energy costs here in the state. Well, thank you, Republicans, for making sure we have high energy costs in the state. Or how about he even said we had a deficit in the state, which we don't have. We have $1 billion surplus at this point in time. And he's also blaming everybody for the problem we have with education in the state on the Democrats, when in fact, the Republicans have been in control for the last 14 years.
Right. They've had the state assembly and the state senate for the last 14 years. Republicans control everything in Washington, the Supreme Court, the Senate, the House, and the White House. How much more power do you need before you take some responsibility for what's coming down?
Yes. Just blame yourself once, say, this is something we have to change. I guess it didn't work out the way we thought it would, so we'll change it. But it is truly amazing. And I thought, well, maybe some of the people in the legislature, the Republicans, would, call up Tiffany and say, what you're saying is really blaming us.
You think Robin Voss is going to scold him?
I don't know. It just seems weird, though, that no one is saying anything to Tom Tiffany. Now, Showman just wants to bring troops into the state. I mean, he has said that point blank. And I don't know if that's selling anybody on, Showman's possibility. But,
I don't think he's making points with anybody.
No. Well, maybe not. Probably not. He's a county executive, isn't he?
I think Washington County.
Washington County, yeah. But Tom Tiffany should know better. Well, actually, he's never known better. This guy took a plow It ran through our environment, just destroyed everything, did away with all of the rules and regulations of mining in this state. Gone. History.
When he was a legislator here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he destroyed that. And by the way, those mines didn't actually happen. Became a little too costly. And I think the reservations had something to do with it too, I think.
Yeah, they had good lawsuits on it. Also,
yes.
Republican leader Dale Schultz voted against that mining bill too, to his everlasting credit.
Yeah, everlasting is right. And now, of course, we're going to talk later on about voting, a different way of voting, right?
Yes, with Sheriff Dave Mahoney, talk about fusion voting, where you could vote for a candidate either on the Democratic Party line or on a third party line. Like, for instance, when Ralph Nader was running on the Greens, you could vote for him as with the Greens, or if he was on another party line, you could vote for him there.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that conversation. I know that we have a podcast. I can't remember the name of it now. Anyway, a podcast that looked at all the different ways of voting and the strengths and the weaknesses of each one of those kinds of votes. So I'll have to look that up. Scott Klug had that podcast. If you could look that
something
up.
In the middle.
So, yeah, that's it. Something in the middle.
Yeah, I was basically looking it up. You beat me to it.
I recommend that everybody check that out. It's really, really interesting.
You can find it at civicmedia.us.
Yes, there you go. This is John and Gordy in the afternoon, and we've got more coming up. We've got our special guest,
Andrew Seidel, Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. He's going to be right here in the studio with us in just a couple minutes.
It's Matt Rothschild, John Peterson. We'll be back.
MDX Madison. From the Capitol to your kitchen table, Madison's biggest stories live right here on 92.7 WMDX.
From tariffs to fluctuating market prices, 2025 has been a year of uncertainty for grain farmers. Paul Mitchell is the chair of Agriculture and Applied Economics at UW-Madison. And after looking in the rearview mirror on this year's harvest, he has some tips for 2026.
Input management is going to be, it's going to be another tight year. It's pretty clear. The margins aren't going to be awesome again. And so people are going to be looking to find ways to cut on input costs. And there's a lot of different things, and it's very farmer specific. I always think about, I'm on campus. We have a lot of smart people there in the crop management side. We've made some documents up, and there's big, long lists of practices. Don't do them all of these best management practices, but look at a couple of them, as I always say. And it's very much depends on your operation, your farm, the way you do things, and you just need to look for a few of them.
Paul Mitchell, the chair of Agriculture and Applied Economics at UW-Madison, along with us. Stick around. We'll have a look at your markets right after this.
You'll want to book this adventure with me and holiday vacations. We're headed to London, Wales, and the Lake District, March 22nd through the 31st. Starting in London with a guided city tour on to the Churchill War Rooms. We'll continue with immersive visits to Ludlow Farm Shop and Lower Drayton Farm. Then relive the legacy of the Fab Four at the Beatles Story Museum. Finishing up with a tour of Quarry Bank Mill. Find details at holidayvacations.com. Keyword Pam to request a brochure, watch a travel show, and book this tour.
As the weather changes, it can start to impact feed quality. Don't let your cows become the victims of the ration roller coaster. Adding Generator Elite to your herd's ration can introduce beneficial microbials that support gut health and help the herd navigate the highs and lows of feed quality, all while using less than an ounce per day per cow. Learn more about Generator Elite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
I'm Kylie Allen from the Midwest Farm Report with a look at your closing markets this Monday. A bit of a mixed bag from Chicago. Cash corn is down 1 1/4 at $4.23 3/4, and new crop corn saw no change and closed at $4.60. Cash soybeans are down 1 3/4 at $11.23 1/4, and new crop soybeans are up 4 3/4 at $11.16 3/4. Cash wheat is down 4 3/4 at $4.22 1/4, and new crop wheat is down 5 1/2 at $5.51 1/2. Taking a look at dairy, December Class 3 milk is trading up 7 cents at $16.17, and January Class 3 milk contracts are trading up 8 cents at $15.23. 40-pound block cheese was down 2.5 today at $152.5, and AA butter closed down 1 3/4 at $4.46. Did you know you can get the latest Wisconsin ag news delivered straight to your inbox every day? To sign up for our e-newsletter, go to MidwestFarmReport.com. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Kylie Allen.
Local news, real voices, and conversations that count. That's Madison. And that's 92.7 WMDX.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight and tomorrow, a cloudy sky with wind increasing and areas of rain. Low tonight in the low 40s, high tomorrow near 50. Snow and wind Tuesday night and Wednesday, less than an inch, but much colder, high in the low 30s. Sun's back for Thanksgiving, but cold. Right now, it's 48.
Join me, Tom Hartman, each and every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program right here on Civic Media. I talk about the issues that all Wisconsinites can get behind, from unrigging our economy so it works for all of us, not just the billionaire class, to improving our representative government, to delivering on the promise of we the people. Tune in middays right here on your local Civic Media station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program. Tag, you're it.
This is Robert Pilot, host of Native Roots Radio. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. You'll also hear from Turtle Island voices like Arvina Martin, State Representative Heather Keeler, Ruth Anna Buffalo, Dr. Anthony Stately, State Senator Mary Kunish, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Native Roots Radio, weeknights at 8 on your local Civic Media radio station.
But here we are. This is John and Gordy in the afternoon. We have Matt Rothschild in as our special guest, and now we've got another special guest. It's Andrew Seidel.
Yeah, Andrew Seidel is Vice President of Strategic Communications at Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. He used to work here in Madison for the Freedom from Religion Foundation. He's the author of a couple books, including The Founding Myth, Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American, and also American Crusade, How the Supreme Court is Weaponizing Religious Liberty. He organized and contributed to a really disturbing report that I just glanced at a couple hours ago called Christian Nationalism at the January 6th Insurrection. If you really want your blood to curdle, you might want to look that one up.
Well, we got lucky here. I mean, I remember talking to Andrew a long time ago. I think it was about your book, The Founding Myth. But in this case, you just published this in Rolling Stone, and you're going to have to fill us in. I have a paywall on my computer, so I cannot get any deeper into this. Fill us in on what's happening here.
So there is a court case happening tomorrow down in Texas, and basically a judge could approve a settlement between a Christian nationalist attorney representing two churches and Trump's IRS. And if that settlement gets approved, it is going to blow a gaping hole in American democracy. It's going to make Citizens United look like child's play. It could be, I mean, it could genuinely change the way that our elections operate and how our democracy functions. And really, as bad as things are, it could make them a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse.
Now, how would it do that?
Yeah.
So there is a rule in place right now called the Johnson Amendment. And the Johnson Amendment says that tax-exempt donations should go to charitable work, right? And that means that you don't get to take a donation in and then turn around and get involved in partisan political campaigns. It's a really important rule, and it's tied to the tax exemption of a church or of a charity.
That's right.
And it's a simple rule, but it actually is one that really preserves our elections. And time and time and time again, there has been a movement to overturn and gut and destroy the Johnson Amendment. Trump said he destroyed it with an executive order in his first term. I sued that very same day, and his lawyers came into court and said, no, this law, Trump's order does nothing to change this law. It's still in place. We've had folks trying to violate the law repeatedly, trying to get the IRS to enforce it, to bring down a court challenge. They failed at that. They can't shift public opinion. The law is hugely popular. Every nonprofit we know in the country wants it, and tons of pastors and preachers want that law in place.
Well, it destroys religion as well, being associated with a political party.
Absolutely. There's a really interesting poll by Lifeway Research, and their solution is they're all about biblical solutions for life. That's their slogan. And they found that 80% of people sitting in the pews do not want their pastors or preachers involved in politics.
Right.
Same for their churches. And so people like this rule. They want this rule, and it makes sense. Tax-exempt donations should go to charitable work, not to partisan political campaigns. And what we are seeing happening is this Christian national attorney is likely going to settle this case with Trump's IRS, and the judge will rubber stamp that settlement.
And what's that settlement going to be?
It's going to say that the Johnson Amendment is unconstitutional.
Really?
And that it can't be enforced by the IRS. Now, in this case, the smart thing that they're trying to do is they would say, look, it only applies to the two churches involved in this case. But once you get that settlement in place and rubber stamped, every other church in the country can come do the exact same thing in that court.
The big ones.
And
the
big ones, this small vocal fringe minority that want this, they're going to. Yeah. And the way that it's going to blow that hole in American democracy is that churches do not file any financial disclosures with the IRS. We have no idea.
Oh, sure. It'll be silent. No one will know what's going on.
We have no idea. And you could get somebody like Elon Musk who wants to affect a political campaign or a particular race donating $5, $10, $50, $100 million. And we don't know that he's donating it. We don't know what the church is spending it on. You would have just absolutely no idea. So not only would churches become just a powerhouse in American elections the way they're not, they would become unregulated super PACs. And every other super PAC in the country is either going to attach to a church or reorganize as a church to make.
Well, how did they come to the idea of a settlement in the first place? It sounds like it shouldn't have come to this.
It shouldn't have come to this. And this is because they failed year after year after year. They actually challenged the law directly, and courts said, no, this does not violate your free speech. This does not violate your free exercise of religion. They failed there. They failed to get Trump to pass that executive order. Fail. So when they brought one of these new challenges and Trump is in office and winning, they're like, you know what?
Yeah,
we'll just go ahead and we'll propose a settlement with them. They're friendly to us. These people are dialed in with the administration because you've got folks like Paula White who, they have the whole faith office in the White House. I mean, it's corruption as well.
Yeah. Now, it was my understanding, though, that some of these far-right preachers have already been violating the Johnson Amendment de facto and telling people from the pulpit or from, the January 5th or January 6th platforms, God wants Donald Trump to remain president, make sure he remains as president. But there's been no consequence to that, right?
Yeah. So, for instance, Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a Christian nationalist group, ran something called Pulpit Freedom Sunday for a number of years, where they tried to get pastors to violate this rule publicly and then use those violations to shift public opinion. And it failed, right? They couldn't get public opinion to go against the Johnson Amendment. People like this rule. They want this rule in place. And we don't know how much the IRS enforces this because any of those enforcement actions would not be public. They don't announce this church is going to lose its tax-exempt status. What they would investigate, they would send out a letter to the church, deal with the church's lawyers. And there are instances of that happening, but probably not a whole lot. However, the rule is still in place and it's still effective. And again, it's something that people want. And it would prevent churches from becoming these unregulated super PACs and really becoming these black holes for dark money to flow into American politics.
Wow. What are the options if they come to this settlement?
So Americans United for Separation of Church and State, our lawyers are down in Dallas right now. They're going to argue that, one, Americans United should be involved in this case and should be a party to it because the Trump administration is not opposing this settlement. It looks a lot like collusion. So we need somebody in there representing the interests of the nation. That should be Americans United. Yeah. And two, that the settlement should not be rubber stamped. So we're not flying blind down there. We do have some representation, which is really important. The judge could rubber stamp the case the settlement tomorrow, that is a possibility. We are going to be arguing that absolutely should not happen. And if it does happen, I mean, it will be one of those things. If it weren't a Trump administration, right? If this were, for instance,
you
Biden,
could stop it. You could appeal it and stop it.
You could stop it. And if it were to go through, you would expect the IRS to say, look, if you're going to get involved in partisan politics, that's fine, but you don't get your tax exempt status. And in fact, if they want to get involved in politics, they should.
And that's always been the arrangement.
Yeah, that's always been the arrangement. Go do it. Nobody's stopping you. You just don't get to use your tax exemption to do it. And so it really does become kind of what looks a lot like collusion between this Christian nationalist attorney
Now
Michael
can filter
Ferris.
money in without any record at all.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it will be.
Yeah.
And you can really see what would happen with some of these mega donors who are really interested in shifting elections.
But if you keep appealing, if you appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court, who knows, with this right-wing U.S. Supreme Court, they might go along with it too.
It's certainly possible. And I'm, my latest book, American Crusade, How the Supreme Court is Weaponizing Religious Freedom, is all about how this Supreme Court is really in the business of favoring straight, white, conservative Christian men at the expense of everybody else. That is absolutely happening. But because of the way the case is structured, and because this is a proposed settlement and a court has to sign off on it, it's very unlikely that if the judge does not rubber stamp this, that question will ever get to the Supreme Court. That's just not the way that even now our judicial system is working.
Well, if the Supreme Court got it, they would look at it from the point of view that, there is that separation. You can't do that.
I mean, you would hope so. You would hope so.
Yeah. They wouldn't look at the settlement so much as the case itself, right?
But they might say that it's a violation of free speech.
They could. And so the two main arguments are this is a violation of the church's free speech and it's a violation of their religious freedom.
Yes.
And the reason that neither of those holds water is because it's tied to that tax exemption, right? Tax exemption is a privilege. It's not a right. And the government can attach strings to that privilege. And one of those strings is you don't get to wade into partisan politics. It's not preventing them from doing it. And the churches and nonprofits can still talk about issues. You can talk about marriage equality. You can talk about abortion. You just can't endorse or oppose a political candidate. And even then, they can actually do that as, in their personal capacity, right? So Mr. Johnson can do that on his personal Facebook page, for instance, but Preacher Johnson can't do that on the church's Facebook webpage, right? So it's just that distinction. And it's really important to note, I think my favorite counterexample here is this rule was in place when Martin Luther King was preaching civil rights, and it didn't stop him from fighting that battle in the public square. Didn't risk any tax exempt status,
but he didn't say vote for LBJ.
No, and it didn't prevent those conservative churches either from speaking out against him. So it's a rule that makes a lot of sense, that does a lot to protect our democracy, and without it, we are going to be in big trouble.
All right, we got a text here from Ken. How will the Christian nationalists keep mosques from using their loophole?
I mean, this is one of the more interesting questions that we see trickling up through the courts today, and that the Supreme Court has really failed to deal with, because we do live, the words carved into the Supreme Court are equal justice under law, which means if it's good for the Christian nationalists, it should be good for everybody else too. And that is often not the case. And in fact, the way the settlement is structured, because it only applies to those two churches, and then they're going to slowly add churches as if it gets approved, right? You could see that being a way that they structure doing this.
Right.
And to give our texter another example, back in one of the worst examples was back in 2017, when the court basically gave a Christian bakery a get out of jail free card to discriminate against a gay couple. Some people remember this case, the Masterpiece Cake Shop case. And then 3 weeks later, they said, we're not going to strike down Donald Trump's Muslim ban, even though it's a very clear example of anti-Muslim bigotry. And the reason they gave the bakery a get-out-of-jail-free card was because they said somebody in the government said something mean about Christianity during his case, so doesn't count. But when Donald Trump tweets all these awful things about Muslims and passes a Muslim ban, that's not enough to be anti-Muslim bigotry. The court absolutely has a double standard when it comes to conservative Christians and everybody else.
I want to ask a question here. This is from left field, but we have a text, and I want to kind of get a clarity on this. during COVID, we had orders put in place. It was a health order. It was the health department saying you cannot gather in places of worship because, you trying to prevent a pandemic from getting worse. Is there some legal argument against? It seems like public health has a different set of rules than government has. Is there something there?
So I have a whole chapter on those cases in American Crusade, how the Supreme Court is weaponizing religious freedom. We can talk about it. The simple rule is that religious freedom is never a license to harm other people.
There you go. All right. This is John and Gordy in the afternoon with Matt Rothschild and our special guest,
Andrew Seidel from Americans United for the Separation of Church and State.
We'll be back in just a moment. We've got more questions.
Symbiotic, patriotic, slam book net, right? It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
On the web, WMDX is your home for real news and great conversation for Madison. Learn more at WMDXradio.com.
Is your computer so slow you can hardly use it? Does it have blue screens, malware, viruses, reboots, hardware crashes? Sound familiar? Computers will have problems, and when they do, you need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day, we help home users and businesses keep their computers and networks running smoothly. For solutions to your computer problems, call the pros at 231-8000, and we'll turn this into this. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right. Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by-in for the people. We have state updates on mail-in voting rules today. Hawaii's election commission recommended ending the state's mail-in voting system. Ohio's governor is expected to sign a bill ending its mail ballot grace period. And Montana's new law requiring a birth date on mail ballots was the #1 reason for ballot rejection. First to Hawaii, where an October 1st conspiracy-laden hearing convinced a majority of the state election commission to recommend returning the state to one-day in-person voting. Honolulu Civil Beat reports that only 4.5% of Hawaiians even voted in person in 2024. Legislators have voiced continued support for mail-in voting, and the commission recommendation doesn't appear to have traction. The Ohio Capitol Journal reports that SB 293, requiring mail ballots be returned by Election Day regardless of postmark and eliminating the current 4-day grace period, was sent to Governor Mike DeWine November 19th, who is expected to sign it. A new Montana law requiring a voter's birth date to be added to a mail-in ballot dramatically increased ballot rejection rates in November. The Daily Montanan reports that rejection rates range from 1% to 4.5%, with as many as 80% of rejections due to missing or mismatched birth dates. Voters were contacted to cure the ballots, lowering the final rate to about 2%. We've linked to the local reporting at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
We can change the world. We are ready. The world is dying to get better.
John 12:40 in the afternoon. Matt Rothschild, our guest, and our special guest, talking legal, is Andrew Seidel. And I had a question prior to this break. It was in regards to a question we always get from just about everybody here on the show, and that is during COVID, we asked people not to go to worship simply because these large crowds would obviously spread a disease. A pandemic that we were experiencing at the time would be a very, very bad thing. But of course, the Republicans took another side to it. They tried to politicize, I think, public health. We had a Supreme Court justice in the state, Rebecca Bradley, who called the governor a tyrant for actually upholding public health and preventing people from gathering in churches. You have a better way of describing why this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, and the number one reason is that religious freedom is not an unlimited right. Religious freedom is a limited right. You don't get to do whatever you want. The big example that we use in the law, the Supreme Court has used this, Thomas Jefferson used this back at the founding, is human sacrifice, right? If your God is telling you to sacrifice a child, you don't get to do that. And that's because religious freedom is a limited right. And it's limited by the rights of other people. So religious freedom has never been an excuse to violate somebody else's rights, to discriminate against them. And that is what we are seeing the Supreme Court change these days. That is what it means when we talk about them weaponizing religious freedom. And here in the context of public health, we have these really important rules that are meant to prevent the spread of a lethal contagion that is killing millions of Americans. You don't get to say, well, my religion says that I get to risk the health and safety of an entire community.
Exactly. There you go.
But another important point is religious freedom is a First Amendment right. Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech, etc. And there were many challenges to all of the public health measures
during COVID.
Under the right to assemble, the right to free speech, and no court bought any of those same First Amendment challenges except for religious freedom. And that only happened when the personnel on the court changed, when Amy Coney Barrett took Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat. Until then, every single one of those challenges failed because they should have. And by the way, the Supreme Court also addressed that issue way back in the early 20th century and said, yeah, you don't get an exemption to public health measures just because your God says so. That's not the way this works.
Right. But they finally did give them an exemption.
But with the vote of Amy Coney Barrett, 5-4. Actually, it was just about this time. It was on Thanksgiving Eve in a midnight order, the Supreme Court first gutted a public health law. And one more interesting point on that, those public health laws nearly always favored churches. They gave them more favorable treatment than other similarly situated, right? When you're looking at, is this discrimination, you compare apples to apples. And churches were favored under most of those public health
From
laws.
what I remember, yes, they did allow churches to have their
and including
gatherings.
in the Supreme Court decision.
Yes,
that is true.
But now it's legal. They've decided it's okay, so they can go nuts if they wanted to.
Well,
in the next pandemic, they
yeah.
I mean, and this is one of the problems that we're seeing at the Supreme Court. They're turning their back on centuries sometimes of precedent.
decisions. Yeah.
All right, I want to get to something else you have recently, you wrote a little while back. It was about Kyle Rittenhouse having killed two individuals and kind of got off doing it. And there's a Give, Send, Go site, crowdfunding site, sponsored by Christians in order to help Kyle out. He got $360,000 from that. Which is just amazing that they would be involved in something so incredibly nasty, a killing, two killings, actually, even though he got off and they decided that he was defending himself in some way, shape, or form. It seems really odd. Now, what would explain something like this?
Well, I think there's a couple different things that explain it. And for people who are not familiar, Give, Send, Go, it's like GoFundMe, but it is a Christian platform. And the founder explicitly talks about his Christianity all the time. I would say that it is more in the Christian nationalist vein and gets very political. There were many of the January 6th insurrectionists who hosted fundraisers on the site, for instance.
Yes.
And it is wildly popular with that kind of limited group of folks and often aligns with folks who have these kind of Christian nationalist interests. And I would say that in America, that racism has been a big part of Christianity, and more certainly Christian nationalism, since the beginning. And a friend of mine, Dr. Anthea Butler, has written a phenomenal book on this. And it's actually the book that if people are wondering, why does he keep talking about Christian nationalism? What is that? This is the book that you should start with. It's a simple, small read, very easy to digest. It's called White Evangelical Racism. She is a brilliant scholar, and really kind of draws the connections throughout American history that, yes, sometimes religion does bad, and sometimes it has these terrible threads that are woven throughout it.
Wow. Andrew Seidel's been our guest. He's the Vice President of Strategic Communications at Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. He himself has written a couple of really cool books, including The Founding Myth, Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American, and American Crusade, How the Supreme Court's Weaponizing Religious Freedom. Andrew Seidel, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, gents. It was
The question,
a pleasure.
too, have you read John Fugelsang's book?
I haven't. It's in my stack. And I'm actually, he's actually coming to the Summit for Religious Freedom, which AU puts on in April. So
He really knows his stuff, too.
Yeah,
It's great stuff.
I've been on his show a few times and chatted with him about it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
great.
great. He's a great guy.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got so much more coming up here on the show. I'm exhausted already.
But we've got former Dane County Sheriff David Mahoney.
We do, yes.
In the studio.
Keep it right here on Civic Media Radio. John Peterson, Matthew Rothschild. That's
Quite
it.
all right.
Yeah,
And you can
I'm
call in 855-752-4842. That's 855-75
Civic. There you go.
Real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station. WMDXradio.com.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A federal judge dismissed two separate indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James on the basis that acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan's appointment was not lawful. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
The president had put an immense amount of pressure on the attorney general to bring about these prosecutions. He had posted in a social media post that was addressed to Pam, referring to Pam Bondi, that she needed to do this. He said at the time, "We cannot delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility."
The judge dismissed the cases without prejudice, meaning the DOJ can try again to pursue indictments. The president says he's accepted an invite from President Xi to visit Beijing in April and says China's president will also come to the U.S. for an official state visit later in the year. Talks on a peace plan progressing in Geneva to end the war in Ukraine. The U.S. and Ukraine narrowing down a point plan to 19 points. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Your neighbors are talking. Leaders are deciding. Madison's story unfolds daily on 92.7 WMDX.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. One of the women responsible for the Slender Man attack ran off from her Madison group home over the weekend. She's now back in custody after being apprehended in Illinois. In 2014, in Waukesha, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier stabbed a classmate in order to please the fictional horror character Slender Man. Weier was released a few years ago to live with her father, but prosecutors say Geyser was the one holding the knife. She pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide and was sentenced to time in the Winnebago Mental Health Institute. She was released into a Madison group home earlier this year. At the time, prosecutors asked the judge not to approve her release. On Saturday, Madison police say Geyser left her group home and cut off her monitoring device. At the time, police urged anybody who saw her to call 911. Her own lawyer even went on social media, encouraging Geyser to turn herself in. According to reporting from the AP, she was arrested at a truck stop south of Chicago yesterday. Their story says she was with a 42-year-old man who was also arrested for criminal trespassing and obstructing identification. WKOW talked to some residents in the area of Cronky Drive in the Meadowood neighborhood where that group home is. They say they had no idea Geyser had been living on their street. Meanwhile, a Wisconsin hunter died on the first day of the gun deer hunt due to what authorities call accidental discharge of a firearm. It happened in Fond du Lac County Saturday. Someone called 911 in the town of Oakfield after finding a man dead in a tree stand. That hunter was from Lomira and was 24 years old. The sheriff's office and the Department of Natural Resources are now investigating. The last deer hunting death in Wisconsin was in 2022 when an 11-year-old boy was killed in an accidental shooting. Last year, during the gun deer hunt, one person was accidentally shot, but they recovered. That made it the safest gun deer hunt in Wisconsin history. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers sink the Vikings. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers with a decisive 23-6 win over Minnesota. Matt LaFleur says they played well on offense, defense, and special teams.
All three phases contributed to that win. It's never easy going against a division rival and a team that has beat us twice in a row at Lambeau. So that felt really good, and told them you can enjoy it for a couple hours, but it's a quick turnaround.
It's the Packers and the Lions at noon on Thanksgiving. The Vikings now 4-7. I asked former Packers running back Aaron Jones, what's it like returning to Lambeau Field?
Every time I come back here is special. Just get that kind of nostalgic feeling. It goes back to my dad. This is the last place he see me play ball. So it's special when I get to take the field here. You just got to go back to the drawing board and to continue to work, continue to get my process right, and stick together.
That's the Vikings' Aaron Jones. NBA Bucks basketball tonight. They host the Portland Trail Blazers. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Construction barrels bloom every spring. So do opinions. WMDX, guiding Madison through life's most predictable surprises.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight and tomorrow, a cloudy sky with wind increasing and areas of rain. Low tonight in the low 40s, high tomorrow near 50. Snow and wind Tuesday night and Wednesday, less than an inch, but much colder, high in the low 30s. Sun's back for Thanksgiving, but cold. It's 46 right now.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
Ahoo, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio. On our show, we share stories from Turtle Island, highlighting the people and issues shaping our communities. From protecting water to treaty rights and preserving languages and traditions, we cover it all. Hear voices like Arvina Martin of Emerge, Wisconsin, Dr. Stately, Robert Lilligren, and more. Because Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Native Roots Radio, weeknights at 8 on your local Civic Media radio station.
There's a road I'd like to tell you about, lives in my hometown. Lakeshore Drive, the road is called, and it'll take you up or down. From rats on up to riches, 15 minutes you can fly. Pretty blue lights along the way, cut you right on by. Pretty blue lights shining with a heavenly grace, cut you right on by.
It's John and Gordy in the afternoon. Matt Rothschild, our special guest host today. And see, we play that song because we have made up with Illinois. Okay. I mean, they're okay down there. They're good.
Just okay.
I warmed up to the city of Chicago because of the L. I was just fascinated by that. I thought, do any of our legislators here at the Capitol ever take the L? And if they did, they'd fall in love with mass transit, I think. Right? Oh, anyway.
You and every movie producer, they all love the L.
I know, they do.
You're listening to the John and Gordy Show. I'm Matt Rothschild, stepping in for Gordy here. The number to join the conversation here, or text 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC. delighted to have a fellow bird watcher in the studio with us. We're not going to talk about birds.
I didn't know
don't think
that.
so, yeah.
You slipped this on me here.
Yeah, Dave Mahoney. He is the former sheriff of Dane County.
Yeah.
I heard the guy who runs one of the bird stores I go to always says, Dave Mahoney was just in here yesterday. So anyway, that's how I know that little detail. But Dave, we wanted to have you in here to talk about a couple things. I know you're one of the founders of a new group called United Wisconsin. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that? But we also want to get to your former title as sheriff and get some ideas you have on issues that are really current in the news.
Sure. Well, Dale Schultz and I are leading a group in the state of Wisconsin. Chris Andrews, Morris Andrews' spouse, Morris, as you know, is passed, but Morris led WEAC and WBA Trust for many, many years. And I had a long relationship with Morris during my campaigns for Dane County Sheriff. And I've become disillusioned with politics of late, and I think we'll go into it a little further, but fusion voting is an issue that we're taking across the state. Talking to citizens, hoping to draw all voices into the next election. Those who affiliate with the two primary parties and those who feel that they're not being represented and who have fallen off voting and being involved.
Well, we might as well explore it now for a little bit.
Sure.
You mentioned
Yeah,
this term
let's definitely
fusion
do it,
voting, which for a lot of listeners, I think is not a term they're familiar with. So why don't you explain what fusion voting is?
Well, I got involved because the two major political parties, as we see every single day in the United States, continues to elevate the divisiveness instead of agreeing on the issues that we all as Americans can agree on.
Yeah.
And finding solutions. Voters in the middle believe that they have little voice and little choices to represent them. And so fusion voting, which was actually legal in Wisconsin in the late 1800s. It's currently legal in several states on the East Coast, New York, Connecticut, Delaware. And we're hoping that by bringing back fusion voting, which allows a separate party to be formed, it allows the same candidate to be voted for in two particular parties. And then after the election, you fuse, where fusion comes from, fuse the votes for that candidate to come up with a winner from an election.
I mean, for instance, in the mayoral election in New York that just happened with Mamdani, he was on the Democratic Party line when you go into the voting booth, and he was also on the Working Families Party line, so people could vote for him on either of those two, and then you would fuse the two tallies from the Democratic Party for Mamdani and Working Families Party, and then he'd get his total. And so that's what you're trying to do here in Wisconsin, right?
It is. We currently have a lawsuit filed in hopes of getting before the Supreme Court, because this is really a constitutional issue. It comes directly to an individual's right to be represented, to have a voice, and to elect those individuals who represent their priorities and their beliefs.
There's a freedom of association argument there that I think Law Forward, who's representing you, is bringing. And I think maybe a freedom of speech argument too, or equal representation argument for fusion voting. It had gotten to the Wisconsin Supreme Court about 35 years ago. It was a different court, of course, but I remember Joel Rogers, UW law professor, was very active in that effort 35 years ago, and it failed. And it's kind of interesting to see it come back. And it's also interesting to see it come back in the way it has been, because at that point it was coming almost as, left wingers wanted a party of their own and to be able to represent themselves, like the Green Party or whatever. And so to be able to vote for a candidate on the Democratic Party line and on the Green Party line, this effort is more of an effort but between the parties, if you will. And you've been working with Dale Schultz, a former leader of the Republicans in the state Senate, not a doctrinaire Scott Walker, Donald Trump Republican by any stretch of the imagination. He voted against Act 10. He voted against the mining bill like we talked about in the last hour. But it is an effort to reach across the aisle. And why is that important for you?
Well, it's important, particularly in Wisconsin, because there's far more that we have in common between the Democrats and Republicans among the moderates than we do among the two far left and far right.
Mm-hmm.
And we both Dale and I like to say that, in United Wisconsin, if you will, we don't bleed red or blue. We bleed green and gold because we all want good schools. We want safe communities. We want clean water. We want good environments. That's what Wisconsin has cut its teeth on.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if we bring those who have felt they have been unrepresented for so many years to the election box to sit down and talk about the issues that are important to us that we can come to an agreement on.
Right.
At the Capitol today, or when they're in session, they find more ways to disagree than to agree.
But the amazing thing, just to be devil's advocate for a second, Dave Mahoney, is that there are a lot of issues here in Wisconsin that are vastly popular, but have been stymied by by Robin Voss, just because he's been so hyper-partisan. And he had rigged maps to do it with. So, I mean, do we need a third party in between those two, or we just need fair maps and to get rid of Chief Voss, Boss Voss,
who is probably going to retire anyway? But if we had this fusion voting, wouldn't it get rid of the extremism? And because somebody would think, well, if I say this, I might tune this person out. If I get like second or third on that, I can at least maybe absorb votes.
I think it brings us closer to eliminating the polarization that's occurring today.
All right.
When I was sheriff, I used to always talk about the fact that I represented all citizens.
Mm-hmm.
When you call 911, I don't ask you whether you're Republican or Democrat. We respond to the calls for service. I certainly ran under a political party. I've been a Democrat as long as I've been involved in politics. Probably a Democrat since I met Robert Kennedy during his presidential campaign in Omaha, Nebraska. And when my dad took me to my very first political campaign.
That must have been a thrill.
It was.
How old were you at that time?
I was young. But I've got a picture standing there shaking hands in my yellow windbreaker with my dad and shaking hands with Bobby Kennedy.
Wow, that's incredible.
Wow.
It's a memory I'll always have.
Yeah.
And it's those bygone days that I hope we can return to at some point in time in America.
Now, Matt, you mentioned another case many years ago, and it failed before the Supreme Court. Is that correct?
Right.
You were saying that they were making a different case. Republicans were trying to get something done. Is that correct?
Well, the case long ago, my memory serves me, if it does, was brought by, certainly Joel Rogers was a big part of that. He is a law professor at the University of Wisconsin, and he's on the left side of the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
This was at a time when a lot of folks were thinking we needed a third party to the left of the Democratic Party. So that was the impetus behind that.
All right.
And the Wisconsin Supreme Court at that point rejected the arguments, and Law Forward, I think, is bringing different arguments this time forward.
So this is just to resurrect the law. It was banned, so you're just going to get rid of the ban, essentially.
Well, it's constitutional issues, how we're coming at it.
Right. With the Wisconsin Constitution.
Okay.
That's the argument.
Right.
And it's a differently constituted court than it was. There are more liberal justices on the court than there were.
I mean, we had Mike
last time.
McCabe talking about it as well last week when we touched on this.
So, we've got a text from Ross in Crawford County who wants us to differentiate fusion voting from ranked choice voting. Do you want to take a swing at that?
Well, the primary difference is, of course, in ranked voting, we're just listing individuals by number. Here, you're with fusion voting in the creation of another party, United Wisconsin as an example. We're allowing individuals to identify a candidate, hold that candidate accountable to their priorities and needs, and it may actually cross pollinate, if you will, to one of the major parties.
Okay. Well, that sounds fair. Do we have another comment here? I don't know.
No. So give us a trajectory, time frame. When is this going to get before the courts? Is it going straight to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, or is it going to go up?
Currently, it's filed in circuit court here in Dane County. We hope that it moves swiftly through the courts and moves on to the Supreme Court, as it is a constitutional issue that impacts the entire state. And that's where we're at today. Dale and I and many others are traveling the state, educating communities on these issues.
What's the response you're getting?
Very positive.
People like the idea of having choices of political parties.
They do, and we're hearing that there is a percentage of the community who has been disconnected, who just isn't involved because they don't feel that either party in its current state is representing their needs.
Would it be smart to get somebody from a state that uses fusion and explains it to Wisconsin? Maybe have them as a guest, to make it sound easy in some way. Explain it. Take calls. This is how we do it in our state.
It's working. It's working in other states.
Yes.
And I think that's of value as we move across our arguments before the Supreme Court. This did exist in Wisconsin. And it's currently in existence across the United States.
And we could have a lot more choices. We could have a fourth or a fifth party. I remember AOC saying, if this was Europe, I want to be in the same party as Joe Biden. And she was right about that.
Yes. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. John Peterson, Matt Rothschild, and our special guest, Dave Mahoney, former Dane County Sheriff. We'll get into ICE next. We'll find out what your feelings are about what ICE is doing.
92.7 WMDX. Talk radio with more bike lanes. Hey, hon, have you been to Sugar River Pizza in Sun Prairie yet?
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I know. I love the pizza.
Pizza is ridiculous. That crust.
Right, and they have
48 beers on tap and a great selection of wines.
And the atmosphere.
Not only is the restaurant gorgeous,
that room with the giant
windows that open, and they won a Best of Madison Gold Award this year.
I love Sugar River
Pizza on Cabela Drive in Sun Prairie.
You took the words right out of my
mouth.
Yep. SugarRiverPizza.com.
Oh, so you have heard of it.
Are you ever questioning when life will slow down? Are you ever thinking of just relaxing and enjoying the simple things? All of this is possible, even while still being in the workforce. Worthington, Minnesota is a town growing, yet it's nothing like metro life. Professional and labor jobs, a beautiful lake, bike trails, recreation, acres of public hunting, festivals, and great people. Slow down. We're just a short drive away, so come join us. Worthington, it's worth a look.
Does Wisconsin have any mountains? No. Wisconsin doesn't have any mountains or mountain chains because it sits in the middle of a tectonic plate and its ancient ranges eroded long ago. About 1.8 billion years ago, collisions formed mountains like the Pinocchis, later worn down by glaciers. The U.S. doesn't have an official definition of a mountain, though Britain sets it at 2,000 feet. The state's tallest points, Timms Hill, Rib Mountain, and Lookout Mountain, peak around 1,950 feet. Wisconsin's location makes new ranges unlikely. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch. Fact briefs are bite-sized fact checks of trending claims produced by Wisconsin Watch and GigaFact. Read more at wisconsinwatch.org.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders.
innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
You need the room, you need the space. You gotta find yourself a swinging place. You gotta fly, you gotta soar. You gotta live a little more. Don't try and fight it, you've been invited. Come on and swing, swing, swing it.
We're swinging it. Good afternoon, John Peterson, Matt Rothschild. And we're talking to former Dane County Sheriff Dave Mahoney and finding out about fusion voting. And we're going to take this topic up more often so people can get familiar with it, maybe understand it a little bit better, and get a few people that you're working with and try to get them on the show here and explain their point of view in regards to it. I know, like I said, Mike McCabe, who used to be with the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, was in here last week explaining fusion voting. And he said it's just a matter of taking the ban off because it's there. It's legal. It's just been banned.
Well, and we should be open to letting people be represented by more parties. It's the American way.
Yeah, people want more choice, for sure.
We do.
You're listening to the John and Gordy Show. I'm Matt Rothschild, pitch hitting for Gordy, who is at the Paul McCartney concert tonight in Chicago.
Yeah, I know.
And we are green with jealousy.
Yes, we are.
The number to call is 855-752-4842.
I expect him to wait in line and get me a damn T-shirt, okay? I mean, I did, so... all right. Let's get to ICE. Let's find out what your viewpoints are on ICE. I mean, they've been, the masked individuals that go into the state and take people away. I mean, just the fact that they're wearing masks just drives me crazy, and it drives everybody else crazy. How the hell can we get away with something like this?
Yeah, I don't know how in 2025 and soon 2026 we can be in a position across this nation where families are not allowing their kids to go to school. They're not going to work.
Yes.
They're fearful of their police because of the actions of federal law enforcement. Decades and decades of hard work by local law enforcement to build trust in underrepresented communities is being destroyed with the lifting of a mask. By over policing, and I hate to use the word policing because these agents from ICE are not police officers.
No. It's amazing that they get any kind of respect at all from the police officers who are helping them, because these guys have no training whatsoever. They're stepping in the role of police.
Yeah. Well, it's been a progression. It was. I don't want to say it was better because it's not. We are really at a crossroads, and this is an issue that I've spoken out publicly on in the past and will continue because I spent 41 years, my entire adulthood, building relationships in the communities that I served. Policing doesn't belong to police. It belongs to the community. And we've been very fortunate in Dane County, in Madison, in each of our 10 cities within Dane County, that law enforcement has been cognizant of this and has worked hard to build these relationships.
Yeah.
But fear exists in our community. I have met personally with community groups representing those who are being targeted by ICE today, by this administration, by the federal administration. And there's a great deal of fear that exists. And one of the dangers that occurs when that fear exists is that in a real need for law enforcement, immigrant communities fear calling police out of fear that they will be identified, and then that identification will be used by ICE to target them and pick them up. Matter of fact, I've met personally in some of the groups that I work with. As a former sheriff, I was former president of the National Sheriff, so I continue to attend meetings. They sit on their board of directors. And Tom Hogan, the immigration czar, has come to speak many times. And he has said, yes, our priority is the criminal element. But if you happen to be in the vicinity and you're undocumented, we're going to take you. And he's said that point blank. And that's scary. In a country that is formed by immigrants. I'm an immigrant. Unless you're a Native American,
exactly,
you're an immigrant to this country. Matter of fact, I think both the immigration czar and the president happen to be immigrants.
I think it has a lot to do with white nationalism personally, but I have to say that your record is just unbelievable. You accomplished everything you set out to accomplish in creating trust by the sheriff's department and law enforcement. So, congratulations on that. I mean, at least I know that.
Well, what exists even within
now, it's kind of shredding up is what's happening here.
It is in all areas. It's being shredded.
Yeah.
And what we need, and I encouraged it as sheriff among our staff, that if there was a rule, a policy that I implemented that you felt ran against our Constitution, our state policies, speak up. And what we need is more willpower and courage, soul-searching courage on the part of federal agents to say this just simply is not right. They wear the mask out of fear that they're going to be identified.
Well, that's what they say.
Well,
I'm not sure it's true.
Look at Act 10. When the deputy sheriffs stood at the doors and were the first point of contact against protesters during Act 10, they didn't wear face masks.
That's right.
Matter of fact, they didn't wear battle gear. They wore their street uniforms, the uniforms that the community has come to expect them to be wearing every single day.
If you could stay after the break, we'll continue this conversation.
Yes, I'd love to have the conversation continue in just a moment. This is John and Gordy, Matt Rothschild, our guest, and also Dave Mahoney, former Dane County Sheriff.
WMDX, smarter than your GPS on John Nolan Drive. From the Capitol to your kitchen table, Madison's biggest stories live right here on 92.7 WMDX.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. For years, Madisonians have wanted a train station. We actually had one decades ago, but it shut down in 1971. It would make travel to places like Milwaukee, Chicago, and Minneapolis easier. Right now, the closest Amtrak station is in Columbus. Now, you can book a trip to or from Madison on Amtrak, but one of those legs will be on a bus. Now, city staff have narrowed down exactly where they would want to put a new train station. Their first pick would be to add one along John Nolan Drive and Wilson Street. But that could be a tough sell so close to the lakeshore. So their second choice would be on the east side next to what will soon be the Madison Public Market. To go from Madison to Milwaukee, they wouldn't even need to build the train tracks. Old railroad tracks already exist going from here through Watertown and to Milwaukee. It currently averages 0 trains per day. They'd expect to have 3 to 4 of those trips daily, and eventually they would add service to the Twin Cities. Now, the city of Madison is not really in charge of whether Madison gets a new train station. The Department of Transportation and Amtrak would be the ones who get to make that decision. Meanwhile, Madison's airport is busier than ever. It was a record-setting summer at the Dane County Regional Airport. May through August, they had more than 850,000 travelers. That turns out to be a 40,000 person increase from the same time period last year. It even had its busiest week in history, the first week of August. Now, we got planes, we got trains in this newscast. time for automobiles. Starting today, the second phase of construction on John Nolan Drive begins. That changes the traffic patterns there too. All cars will now start to drive on the existing northbound lanes. And this traffic pattern is going to stay the same until next summer. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Tickets are now on sale for a really cool event if you're in Northeast Wisconsin or up for a road trip to Titletown for the 40th anniversary of the Bodines' debut album, Love and Hope and Sex and Dreams. The band was formed in Waukesha, Wisconsin in the early 1980s and has since gone on to carve out their spot in the American roots rock scene. Their music has appeared in movies like The Color of Money, The Godfather of Green Bay, and the hit TV show Party of Five. The Love and Hope and Sex and Dreams album title comes from the Rolling Stones song Shattered. The album came out in 1986, and Rolling Stone named the Bodines the best new American band. The Deans went on to perform on late-night talk shows and developed a reputation as one of the best live bands around. You can see for yourself June 5th at the beautiful Meyer Theater here in Green Bay. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 5 to 8 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local news, real voices, and conversations that count. That's Madison. And that's 92.7 WMDX.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight and tomorrow, a cloudy sky with wind increasing and areas of rain. Low tonight in the low 40s, high tomorrow near 50. Snow and wind Tuesday night and Wednesday, less than an inch, but much colder, high in the low 30s. Sun's back for Thanksgiving, but cold. It's 46 right now.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Where working people come to talk. It's the Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy, fairness, grit, and no apologies. It's current affairs from a working class labor perspective. Facts are center, science is real, and everyone gets a seat at the table. The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We are Civic Media Radio Network. John Peterson and Matt Rothschild. Gordy has decided to travel along and follow McCartney on his tour. So we wish him well.
Who had the opportunity? It's been fun sitting in for him, though.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. All right. Now let's get to our guest, Dave Mahoney, former Dane County Sheriff. And we were talking about ICE and what they have been doing. You brought up Act 10, which is something that we all participated in recently. And my kids, that was their first protest too. So they came out and supported their teachers. What about the masking? I mean, everybody says, well, they'll get doxxed, people will go after them. But really, no one wore masks during Act 10.
They didn't, because you acted in conformance to the law, to the Constitution, and to a moral code.
Yeah.
And when you act in furtherance of those three, you have nothing to hide.
Yep.
You can discuss disagreements, and our folks did. Our deputies did at the doors. Sure. But at the end of the day, we made sure people's right to be seen and heard and air grievances was guaranteed.
And that's definitely part of it. Why don't we hear from some of our callers right now? We have Troy on the line. Troy, welcome to the program.
Hi. Back to the fusion voting.
Mm-hmm.
what is my ballot going to look like? Is it going to be back to the 2024 Kamala Harris, Democrat, Green, Donald Trump, Republican, Libertarian, something like that? Or how will the ballot actually look?
Okay.
Well, Troy, I hope that that ballot looks representative of the communities all across this country, that candidates will come forth because they believe that they have a chance in this election and that they are being called by the citizens that they serve to represent them. And I think that with a larger opportunity and a broader board, if you will, that people will feel that their beliefs, their needs are being met, and they will go to the ballot box and they will vote. If there are only two choices and those two choices are extreme, I think we miss a large portion of the voting population who just feel they're no longer represented.
Any other questions, Troy?
No, not right now.
All right.
Thanks for the call, Troy.
We'll work on it, Troy. All right. Let's go to Kurt now out in Madison.
Hello. Given the discussion about ICE, I had called in before, and we were, when you guys were talking about the commercial of the senator, the 6 people saying, following, do not follow illegal orders.
Right.
And I had mentioned, where is the rest of the Congress people and the senators doing the same thing? All of them stepping forward, saying the same message. I have called so many offices and saying, what's the problem? Why aren't you showing a unified front? All of you should be in separate commercials doing just what they did. And it's not happening. And this is why I'm not a Democrat anymore. I'm a progressive independent because I am in my 60s. I've been in politics since I was 15 years old. I served in the armed forces. I am fed up with the Democrats. Look, we are here. Let's be honest with each other. We are here because the majority of people see the Democrats as being feckless. And they got a low rating. It's directly reflected until they start demonstrating they give a damn and they start a unified message. We will never get out of this hole. Never.
Kurt, great message. Can't agree with you more. Absolutely.
Kurt, a couple of things. First of all, thanks for being involved.
Yes.
Thanks for making those calls. That's a responsibility every one of us have, to make sure that our government represents us. And that's to have a seat at the game and to be involved. So thanks for making those calls. Thanks for your service to our country. And thanks for being on today and asking your questions.
All right. Let's go to Ollie now in the North Woods. What do you got for us, Ollie?
Well, I'd like to talk about the ICE situation.
Sure.
I think that it has gotten totally out of hand. They're not policing or helping to police. What they are literally is paid thugs. They're being allowed to break laws that they are arresting the same people from breaking. Look at the way they drive. Look at the way they treat people, grabbing them and beating them up, literally. I think Pritzker and others who say, bring your phones, document, because those documentations are helping hold them to task.
Yes.
And I think they should not be wearing masks. I think, like any police force, they should have some kind of identification on their uniforms that say who they are, who they work for. I would like to see badge numbers.
And show
so
some
that
kind of
they can
paperwork,
be
right?
held
Show some kind of
accountable.
paperwork, something, anything, right?
Correct. And they're not allowed to come into your homes, but your car is your sanctuary too if you're out driving. And for them to literally be bashing people's cars, ramming people's cars, and using their sticks to break out windows and yanking those people out of their cars when they have every right to not get out of their car.
Yeah. Well, Dave, what do you think of that?
Holly, thanks for your call.
Yes, thanks.
You're spot on. And it is concerning, and it should be concerning to every American who's watching this unfold all across our country. There needs to be a stronger moral code among those carrying out their duties and their responsibilities. I'm very, very concerned about what's occurring in right now. It's our major cities, but I think it's only a matter of time, and we're going to see a larger presence in our medium-sized cities like Madison and Milwaukee, and then our smaller communities.
Am I just seeing it differently? But I'm seeing an aggressive police force, an aggressive National Guard who are pushing people back and instigating a lot of what's going on right now. And they get apprehended and they get taken away and arrested. And it's not their fault. It's not the protesters' fault.
Well, one of the problems with the use of the National Guard is they were never intended to be an American police force.
Yes.
And I mean, there's a place for the National Guard, but it's not on the streets of America conducting everyday policing.
All right. Now let's go back to the phone line. We have Joe on the line. Hi, Joe.
Hi. I would very much like to hear what the sheriff has comments about the subject that I'm bringing up. I'm coming in the same footsteps as Ollie, which is to say, what is going on in terms of training? You know, you had a clip, previous hour where a person was saying the police are trained. The police are trained. I would argue that ICE and Homeland Security is not trained, and what's going on is just outrageous. I would encourage people to take a look at a Chicago Sun-Times article. Title is Judge Hands Down Critical Review of Immigration Agents' Unprecedented Use of Force. And it is unbelievable because not only is it an unprecedented use of force, but it's like lying like rugs in their testimony to the judge. She was saying things like that, that the use of, that she couldn't count on anything that people had said.
Yes.
For example, a border agent testifies that protesters are holding shields with nails in them. Video evidence shows that some of these shields are merely pieces of cardboard, and none of them had nails. There's another guy who says, well, a protester threw a bike at the agent. Video footage shows it was the agent who grabbed the protester's bike and threw it to the side. On and on. And the worst was the guy who was in charge of all this. This is the Gregory Bovino, who is now off to Charlotte. Good luck, Charlotte.
Yeah.
And for 3 days of testimony, she said about his testimony, she said, you're just trying to be cute and lying throughout his testimony. One of the things he said was, for example, I had to throw tear gas into the crowd because somebody threw a rock at me. They go back to the video evidence.
Nothing
and
happened.
There is nothing like this.
Yep.
What happens when our regular police are tainted by what these Homeland Security and ICE are doing? You mentioned the care that you took during Act 10. Isn't that being blown up by the behavior of these people? It's all of the police that get tarred with this brush, all of them. So I'd be curious to hear your reaction.
All
That's
right.
all I
Thanks,
have.
Joe, for the
thank you.
call.
Yes.
Joe, thanks for your call. You're spot on. And my greatest concern of what's occurring is that it's blowing up local law enforcement and their ability to be trusted in the community and to be a resource, particularly to those who are being targeted, the immigrant community. We've seen ICE arrest American citizens based upon the color of their skin or a perception that they have a certain ethnicity. It goes against everything that I have ever been taught and policing 101 across this country.
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about documentation. Most certainly. You know, I encourage every American to carry their cell phone and take photos of these kinds of activities. It also points to the importance of body cameras for law enforcement. And as we see across the country, law enforcement, including in Madison, supports the use of body cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Unprecedented use of force, though, was what Joe was underlying, and it is amazing to look at the videos and just the rampant use of tear gas without announcing we're going to use tear gas, and just the abuse of power. I mean, they're treating folks here in this country as we're their enemy, and they are the occupying force.
Basic training talks about use of force and starting at the very minimum level. What we're seeing with ICE in many of our communities is they're starting just short of deadly force.
Yes. Yep. Breaking windows, hauling people out of their cars, which is crazy, just insane. And then, of course, shooting people from building tops with rubber bullets and whatever. And I guess they were actually arresting pastors and priests who were protesting in Chicago as well, which is crazy, insane.
Well, it's not illegal.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we should be supporting the airing of grievances and the right to assemble.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to Cindy now. We've got Cindy on the phone. What do you got, Cindy? Real quick.
Well, I'm just wondering why we can't ask ICE for their papers. And let me tell you something. This is a page right out of the Third Reich.
Mm-hmm.
It's damn scary.
It is.
It sure is, Cindy. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Oh, well, kind of takes your breath away what's happening in this country when it comes to ICE and militarizing our cities and our states. It's just outrageous. Big thing happened in North Carolina.
Right.
Students didn't show up for classes.
Yeah, I'd like to ask our guest after the break about sheriffs in Wisconsin cooperating with ICE. We'll get your opinion on that in just a second. You're listening to Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
MDX, Madison's real news and great conversation. And home for Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weekday evenings from 6 to 8.
At Allure Intimate Apparel, fit is everything. Not just how something feels, but how it makes you feel. Bras, sleepwear, swim, and intimates, Allure has it all. Their industry professionals and trained fit specialists deliver a discreet, graceful experience that honors every figure. It's style without compromise, elegance without effort. Allure is thoughtfully expanding. Come visit their brand new Hilldale Shopping Center location, where women will discover how fit and confidence go hand in hand. Visit allurefits.com.
Black Friday? You mean like one day? How about Black Friday all month long at Burlow? During the entire month of November, you can save hundreds on mattresses and adjustable bases. Plus, save big on pillows, mattress protectors, and sheets. And just because you're saving big, we don't skimp on our lifetime comfort guarantee on every mattress that's made locally just for you. Mattress prices are falling a lot, and so is Maddie. It's the Black Friday event, only at Burlow.
Keeping you connected to your local community. Here's Terry Barr with the Civic Media Radio Network.
If you've ever snapped a photo at Lambeau Field, turns out you're in good company. A new study from sports analyst PixWise shows the legendary home of the Green Bay Packers ranks among the most Instagrammable stadiums in the NFL. Researchers looked at every venue, then counted the times fans tagged it on Instagram. Lambeau Field scored big, landing at number 7 with more than 218,000 hashtags. Fans point out the mix of history and heart that makes Lambeau so photogenic, from the frozen tundra and the old school bleachers to the modern updates that still honor its past. So at the top of the list, well, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, home to both the Giants and the Jets. By the way, Soldier Field in Chicago ranks 4th. But when it comes to capturing that perfect game day moment, few places shine quite like Green Bay's own Lambeau Field. Until next time, I'm Terry Barr.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community, because change starts with you. Get involved and tune in to the Tom Hartman program Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on your local Civic Media radio station.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
He said there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. I know I can't slow down, I can't hold back, though you know I wish I could. Oh no, there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good.
This is John and Gordy in the afternoon. We got Matt Rothschild in for Gordy today, who's out to see Paul McCartney, like that's an excuse. And our special guest is Dave Mahoney, a very popular former Dane County Sheriff here, and asking a lot of questions of Dave, but I think you've been able to answer most of them, except now tell us about ICE and the agreement that some of the Sheriff's Department in northern Wisconsin have had with ICE.
Well, nationwide, there's been a program referred to as 287G, and it allows sheriff's offices to garner payment for holding detainees who have been taken into custody by ICE. In some cases, it pays them exorbitant amounts of money to actually go out and act as ICE agents. But what I've seen in the past several weeks at a national level and here in Wisconsin is an increase in sheriffs pushing back, saying no more.
Yes.
The moral code seems to be kicking into effect, which I believe is the right direction. We've seen it, first of all in Dane County and Milwaukee, but we've seen it in many of our Wisconsin counties where sheriffs have said, this is not the way we need to raise revenue in our communities.
Right.
We still have a few, but we'll keep working. It's a work in progress. The good news is nationwide, we're seeing some change in that moral code.
It's public pressure.
Yeah. And what would you say if you were just sitting across a table like this to one of those sheriffs in Wisconsin who's collaborating with ICE?
Well, what I would say is, visit that moral code. What brought you what called you into the profession of law enforcement? And is the actions that you may be taking to raise revenue, or maybe you do believe in the immigration policy of this administration, is it what your community is calling for? Because at the end of the day, sheriffs, police chiefs don't set policy. It's the community that dictates the type of policing and what those priorities will be.
We have a texter who says, thank you, Sheriff Mahoney, for your heart and service. And that goes double or triple for me and John.
Yes, absolutely.
You said earlier that we're at a crossroads in this country. Explain that a little more.
Well, we're seeing a increase in white nationalism across our country. It was right there in our faces January 6th when we saw our nation's capital overrun. Law enforcement lost their lives. Many were injured. Many left the profession.
That must have been amazing for you to see that, and horrifying for you to see that footage of law enforcement being beaten up.
It was horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And it hit me pretty deep. I've met with some of those officers who've left the profession personally, and others who are still on the job, and some who've run for office to make a difference. Because that's what we do. We may retire, but we don't leave the passion of what drove us to serve others before oneself. Before we end, I just want to make sure your callers know that I call on them to be involved. Call your representatives, your U.S. senators, be involved. That's how we will make a difference. We are at a crossroads.
I mean,
it can get worse, or it can start improving.
Well, that's what I wondered. Do you fear, if you're up late at night, as I can't sleep sometimes, do you fear we're at risk of losing our democracy?
I do. We have an administration that's calling for the killing of Americans because they speak out on their moral code. You would think that that's as bad as it could get. Wait and see if we don't get involved.
Well, we got a text here from Lori in Hayward. These are people about, going after immigrants and actually, going after them because of how they look. She writes, there are people with light skin who are legally documented citizens of the United States, even though they were immigrated from another country. This should not be allowed to happen. And if this had happened years ago, most of our families would be in jail. So a lot of us wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a niece from Brazil that just became a U.S. citizen this week, and I worried, but I continue to worry because we've seen case after case across this country where immigrants who are in fact U.S. citizens, some who have served in our armed forces,
yes,
who have been swept up on these ICE raids and held for long periods of time before eventually being released.
Yeah, Lori from Hayward said the color of your skin shouldn't matter. And yet we had the U.S. Supreme Court allowing racial profiling on the streets of the United States.
I'm concerned about that and the growth of white nationalism across this country.
Well, the last guest talked about that.
They've always been around.
Yeah.
But this administration's allowed them to crawl out from under their rock.
That's right. I mean, we have made designated Antifa, fascism. That is illegal. That is a terrorist organization now. At least that's how they consider it. And now we have to deal with that. So,
and it's amazing because every family has a father like mine or a grandfather, a great grandfather who fought the Nazis.
Yeah.
And now, being anti-fascist is somehow
it's wrong.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dave Mahoney, thanks so much for being our guest today on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're a great spokesman for law enforcement. I appreciate
it. Thanks to both of you, and thanks to your listeners. Thanks for being involved.
All right. That's it for John and Gordy. Matt, thank you for joining us today. You're in tomorrow for us.
Tomorrow morning, 6 to 8.
Absolutely, with Jim Santel.
Yeah, we're going to have fun there. I want to thank all the callers and texters, too. It's been fun being with you.
All right. Have a good day.
As we were saying, let the sun shine. It's the John and Gordy Show.